ETC, aka the ThunderConductor, and we back for another YouTube video and Twitch stream. If you're on YouTube, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring the bell. If you're on Twitch, make sure you follow and ring the bell. We do this once a week on YouTube and every other week on Twitch. I got a question for y'all. What is your favorite way to win protected in cEDH? Now, this seems like a very straight to the point question. Is like, come on, silence effects. Like, what are we talking about? Whether it's the OG silence or Grand Abolisher or Ranger Captain, and if you're not wanting right, then you're most likely running things like Dose in the Fallen Leaf or Defense Grid. Some people may say, but the new school way to do it is, yeah, we got silence effects, but we also got instant speed ways to win, where after everybody wastes all their interaction, you go, all right, I want to win on top of that. Valley Flood Caller, Born Upon the Wind, or just, come on, Gaia's Cradle into Emergence Zone. But I want to talk about something different today. And I want to facilitate it through a very new commander from the new set. But I want to talk about winning leveraging Split Second. If you're not familiar with Split Second is the ability that says as long as this spell is on the stack, players can cast spells or activate abilities that aren't mana abilities. And then you're thinking, T, well, they made this universal. You can't even activate your own abilities. You can't cast spells. So how are you winning? Well, notably, if you look at this ability, it does not say mana abilities or triggered abilities. So then you start to get creative. You start to think, well, Protean Hawk is a triggered ability, and if I have a way to sack it with a mana ability like with Phyrexian Altar, I can make a whole pile, and while Split Seconds are activated, wait, TTC, that's busted. I know you get excited. Though there are previous lines that we've been doing for a while that completely work amazing with this ability, I want to talk about this ability specifically with the new Hashaton Scarab's Fist. This is from the new Aether Drift's Commander set. If you're not familiar, it is for a white and a black. 2 mana. Chief Commanders are good. For 2 mana, you get a legendary creature, Zombie Wizard, that says whenever you discard a creature card, you may pay 2 and a blue. And if you do, create a tap token that's a copy of that card, except it's a 4/4 black zombie. And notably, Hashaton itself is a 1/3. So though it's not like no 4/4/5/5 like Crom Big Beater, it has a little bit of a junk on the trunk, so this can make it through that Bowmasters. And though it gets hit by Lightning Bolt and still Path to Exile and those effects, it can stick around for a little bit. It can chump block early game to make sure whatever strategy you're doing, it can get it going as we get those 4/4 black zombies on board. And I also want to say notably, you probably already noticed this. It does not say exile that card from the graveyard. So we already could start thinking about creatively the different lines we could do. Like, wait, I'm just because I discarded triggers, that means I could discard it again and get the ability over and over. And though that sits more in like the super synergy kind of thing, and you know that's not too much of TTC's play style, I do love the idea of being able to leverage like, hey, if I'm already winning the game, I can have some fun and do some synergy lines while we're at it. Okay, so like I said, I want to leverage this for amazing, cool lines and so much many fun things. But before we get in that, I got something to say. Y'all know how it goes. If you're watching on the live stream and you're looking for more ways to support the show, we have a plethora. Starting off with our TC community, join our free to join Discord. We jam games, we talk brewing, we talk about spoilers. This new Aether Drift set has the Discord going crazy. So many new brewing ideas, so many people saying, I think this is viable, I think this is not. Come join the community, we have a blast. Now, if you want extra perks like playing on our live stream, shouts on our YouTube videos and our YouTube videos and streams, and so much more, please check out the link in the bio to join our Patreon community, the Thunder Legion. These guys are awesome. They keep the lights on the way that they could not imagine. I want to give a huge shout out to our Mono Red Peer patrons, Wavy Ashira, Bissy Baxton, The Praetor, B-Rad, and Sir Trekkie. These guys rock, and they keep the lights on the way that they could not imagine. And last but not least, if you say, AT, I don't want the Patreon, the proxies, the perks. I just want to say one time for the fun time, I love what you do, and I'm going to support you. Don't worry. Check the link down in the bio so you can buy me a coffee. It keeps me up and keeps the lights on. But with that said, let's get into the meat. All right. We're going to talk about the split second stuff in a second. We're going to break the meta. We got all night to break the meta. But for now, let's talk about specifically this Hashaton brew. Before we get into it, though, look. I usually come with brewing sessions, and sometimes I will come with deck techs where I already have the idea already thought out. I've played games, I've thought about it fully, and honestly, I haven't had the time to do that. I have a really solid core concept and I'm very confident in it, but I still am open to different ideas where we can collaborate on. So we're going to call this a deck collaboration, where you, the TC community, get to help TTC build the best deck for me as I'm figuring out things and recognizing that I don't see everything and don't see it, or think of every line and every like moment or thing that I can think of. So for this deck collaboration, we're just going to start at the top. We're going to start with intro. We're just gonna I even in my short time with the deck, I gotta make a primer. Y'all know that's how TCC does it. Starting off, of course, we'll get to these current playtest cards that I've already kind of switched out from the original brew that I first made. But when it comes to first, welcome. All right, I want to tell y'all, if you love drawing cards or winning in a proactive way or at instant speed, Hashaton Scarab's Fist is the general for you. Notably, this is a proactive turbo/mid-range deck that seeks to draw cards into a clean victory with Thassa's Oracle, Laboratory Maniac, or stealing an opponent's finisher leveraging Praetor's Grasp, okay? This deck seeks to mulligan into a proactive game plan of either A, win by turn 3, or B, you want to get a turn 1 to turn 2 value engine out, i.e. Esper, Sentinel, Heuristics Study, Mystic Remora, and there's a plethora more to win at turn 4+ with a protected win, i.e. under silence effect at instant speed or under the Splint second ability. Okay. Notably though, if you find yourself in game plan B, I do want to remind you all, you're looking to both play to win and play to interact, and you're going to want to create a window for your victory. The challenge will be to know when to prioritize each throughout the game, but mastery of the skill can lead to a win not comparable to any other cEDH pilot, okay? And like I always say, join the TC community. Come on, join me. If y'all are looking to have a good time and just really enjoy everything, join the TC community. All right. We have inspirations for this list we get into a second, but I want to take a second to check out the TC community chat. We first got Noble saying, "You know me from Discord. We talk daily." Noble, what's your Discord name? Well, like, what do you go by Discord versus in Twitch? I don't know where I'm not familiar, being familiar with name. Detro says, "Dude, gonna tell me to play lever in my cEDH deck?" Nah, I'm good. Hey, Detro, believe it or not, hey, look. I can't make you do anything. I can't make you click on Moxfield or tell you to sleeve up the card. But TTC, I like to just say to people, do as you wish. Just let my win rate speak for itself. Let my skill and my precision speak for itself. I can't force anyone to do anything, but I'm gonna tell you, just take your time, okay? We got Noble saying Leveler is interesting take for Hash Brown. We should call it Hash Brown because I don't know why I think Hashaton is the wrong pronunciation. Detro says, yeah, kind of crazy, not gonna lie. And for me personally, not the good kind of crazy. Oh, NBL, what's up? Okay, for sure. Okay, all right. Well, first thing, all right, so I want to talk about inspirations before I get into anything. Before we get into this split second concept, I want to first give shout outs to the inspirations for this list. First of all, I got to tell you the backstory of how I came to play this commander. It popped out to me, it looked interesting, but I didn't feel that conviction. Like, if you want to send me a list and you want to like pull my fancy or like, oh, how do I get TDC to really brew my list? Here's how. You got to break down how it wins and how the commander leverages and helps it get towards the win, okay? And so I got to give a huge shout out to Holden Pryo. Awesome dude. Check him out on Twitter. Check him out on YouTube. Check him out everywhere. He's really great. Great pilot. Great performance on his RAL list. He came on the channel not too long ago. I'll tag it up here, as well as Giraffe, his Mono Blue Storm list. I'll tag that up right here. But he came to me. He was like, T, call me crazy. I think I figured out something that's freaking crazy. I think I figured out some way where this will literally break the meta and like kind of really throw this whole Esperistic mystic like world for a whole spin. I was all right, whatever. Okay. So we set up a time to meet, and he talks to me, and he talked to me. And then as he began to talk to me, he like his thoughts and his thought patterns began to spoke to me. I'm like, I think you're on to something. So I asked questions, and I was like, okay, but what about this? And what about this? And I was like, oh shit, I think I see what you're saying. And the main thing, that concept that I have to give flowers to him, he created, is that he realized that because of what this split second ability says, we are able to, if your win cons leverages man abilities and triggered abilities, you are able to win while split second is active. That means We'll get to the main example in a second, but for example, I use the Protean Hawk piles. Say if you have a Phyrexian altar, if you're not familiar with Phyrexian altar, let's say P altar. Say if you have a Phyrexian altar on board, this is sack a creature, add 1 mana of any color. Okay, cool. What about, and then we have this P Hulk. If you're not familiar, this used to go crazy with Flash. Okay, Protean Hawk is right here. All right. So say if you have the Phyrexian altar on board and P Hawk on board, okay? And what you do is you cast that split second spell and then hold priority. As this brother says, we hold them prio, okay? We hold priority on that split second spell. And at this point, the only thing that could be done is activating the ability of mana abilities, as in tapping your lands for mana or activating the abilities that are mana abilities. And Phyrexian Altar is a mana ability. And so once you sack Protean Hawk to that mana ability, you're able to go, I can create this whole intricate line. As long as I never have to put an activated ability, a regular activated ability on the sack, I can win leveraging this under the split second. And my opponents literally, I think there's like one thing they can do, maybe, but nothing. Only triggered abilities hit the stack. That means the Heuristics studies, the Espers, your Mystic Remoras, all these other things. These are the only things that hit the stack. And this is one example that leverages just that ETB. So now that we get the general concept, we understand, okay, he really sold me on it, and we'll get to it in a second. Just wait, just get to DC 2 more minutes. He told me this concept. I loved it. And so I started brewing the list. And so my first place, if you look at this, if you look at Hashaton, it's like a thing of like, all right, this immediately screams, if I can discard a card, just pay 3, I can get in big beats. So the first thing I did was I started looking at big creature drops. So I looked at, shout out to him, Comedian MTG. I looked at his Kennen list and I started to look at his drops and what big drops would I like to run. Like I was looking at Consecrated Sphynx, anything that was within that blue color identity. I was like, all right, Phyrexian Metamorph may be interesting. Like, I know we can't do anything with infinite mana, but we can do things with draws like Nezahal, Powerful Flex, Void Winnower, Wanderer, Archaic. These are like where my mind went. Okay, these things, I'm throwing them in the deck as I'm brewing. I'm kind of doing my thing. I'm like, okay, for sure. But we're an Esper deck. We're not a Simic deck. So let's go Esper good stuff. So then I looked to my own list. I went to my Marnius Calgar list. I said, all right, cool. Esper Farm, I'm just going to look at this list. What win cons and common play patterns that I find that are effective inside my Marnius list? So I was like, okay, for sure. Faerie, Mastermind, Grand Abolisher, Lothar, all that other good stuff. We get to the point. We get it. Okay. Esper good stuff. You looking for this list? Check out my Moxfield link. It's really great list. Very popular. It's really awesome. Okay. And then, of course, as I started to brew, I started to look at other Hashaton brews. Like once I kind of completed my own list, another notable pilot in addition to Holding Proud, I want to give shout out to DJ Yavi Maya. He has a really dope list that some of his tech was like, okay, I kind of see where you're going with here, brother. Okay. So then I was able to like fully like encapsulate like some of his strategies or throw things in the sideboard. I was getting interested. This is another list I will put down in the description if you're interested. Shout out to DJ Yavi Maya. Notably, one thing I didn't realize until I talked to one of my patrons and homies, Bissy Backstrom, in our Hashaton, is that it's not just about the big bombs. Like the Consecrated Sphynx are great, the Razaketh is great, but it's also about these creatures that usually only have one toughness, like Notion Thief, like Orcish Bowmasters, like your Esper Sentinel that care about their their power and toughness. When you could cast this Esper for 1, or maybe that's not the best example. You could cast this Notion Thief for 4, or you could pass it for 3, and instead of being a 3/1, it's a 4/4, which is a lot harder to get rid of. And even though it comes in the battlefield tapped, that's just waiting 1 turn rotation to untap it. And now you have a 4/4 on board that says you can't draw cards other than the draw for your turn, and that's a lot harder to get rid of versus something that's a 3/1 that was intended to be fragile. Okay, and after talking to Bissy and other piles about this and watching other brews, it had me put all these ideas together and bring us to the split second line concept breakdown. Okay, this is not magical fairy tale land. I've done a lot of gold fishing, a lot of play testing, and this does come up. But I want to like give you all this, and before I say anything, I want to say this is not to replace winning with silence. This is not to replace winning at instant speed. This is another tool that we can put in our pocket to say, hey, in addition to everything we're doing, this is another way to win protected, notably this one being uninteractable in any type of way. If there is a special way, please let me know in the comment section before. I don't want to speak in hyperbolics. But as far as I'm aware, because Split Second is active, only your opponents are allowed to activate mana abilities, and you are in the driver's seat to win at that instant speed. So this is one example, but there's a lot of different lines to do it, okay? All right, Split Second win line concept breakdown, okay? So there are multiple win lines depending on if you're going for Thassa's Oracle, Laboratory Maniac, or things like Forsaken Miner. There are Forsaken Miner lines where you leverage things like Phyrexian Altar or other sack outlets to basically loop Forsaken Miner, and everything is just a triggered and mana ability, okay? But the overall intent is to use Split Second plus mana abilities plus triggered abilities to win in a non-interactable way at instant speed, okay? Now, the concept and the simplest line for this is to have on your board, you want to have Hashaton on board. You want to have a discard outlet on a mana ability, and we'll just use Lion's Eye Diamond as that example for today, because it's just the best, and also it creates mana along with discarding your hand. And in your hand, you want to have triggered a triggered /ETB available win con. So we'll use Thassa's Oracle as this example, okay? And we also want to have a Split Second card. We'll use Angel's Grace for this example, but any Split Second card works for this, all right? And we also want to have a way to empty our library, okay? Now, notably, you can use any of the Empty the Library abilities. You can cast Demonic Consultation and then cast your Split Second card. So you can go like, all right, we're fighting. I'm going to cast my Demonic Consultation or Tainted Pact. I'm about to go find some interaction. They let it resolve. You empty your library, then immediately follow that up once priority gets back to you to cast that Split Second spell and push this line. But for this example, we will use Leveler because it allows you to do the entire line while under this Split Second ability, because it has that ETB of when it comes into play, remove your library from the game, okay? And last but not least, you need to have your mana to cast your Split Second spell plus 3 mana. And for this example, since LED will be giving us the 3 blue mana, we just need the 3 colorless and 1 white. So for 4 mana, you do this whole combo. And like I said, pretty much all these cards are flex sites. There's different things like you can do, this can also be done instead of with Thassa's, you can do this with Labman. Instead of with Thassa's, you can do it with Forsaken Miner if you have the pieces organically on board. You can also leverage, it doesn't need to be Angel's Grace. I bring up a lot of different Split Second spells, but there's a lot of them that are really powerful. I'm fucking around with Extirpate is a really dope one. Of course, you all already know I absolutely love and adore Trickbind, and we'll get to more of these effects a little bit. But how it actually works is you want to have Hashaton on board and LED on board. First, you're just going to cast your Angel's Grace, and then, like I said, you're going to hold priority and crack your Lion's Eye Diamond because it is a mana ability, giving you 3 blue and discarding your hand as well. Hashaton's Scarab's Fist with Trigger's ability will trigger twice while Angel Grace and its Split Second ability is still in the stack. Then you're going to use the 3 colors you have available. This can be 3 lands, this can be a mana vault, this can be whatever it is, plus the 3 blue you got from LED to make copies of the Leveler and Thassa's Oracle. And you're going to stack them so Thassa's Oracle comes in after the Leveler ETB has already resolved. And then after that, the Leveler ETB will go off, then your Thassa's ability will go off, and you win the game, okay? Now, some really common questions is, are stuff like LED, Diamond Lion, and Overeager and Apprentice activated abilities also mana abilities? And yes, they're all mana abilities. And if you want to see like the supporting rulings for all these things, please check out my primer for this list. You can find it by looking up my Moxfield primer. You can find the link in the Bible. I have all the supporting rules for this. Also, we're notably running stuff. I'm playtesting Chromatic Star and Chromatic Sphere to be able to win with Labman as well, while still leveraging mana abilities. And a common question I've been finding is, are these mana abilities as well? And i.e., can they be activated while Split Second is active? And yes, they're both mana abilities, but they draw from them happening at different times and for different reasons. And if you want to see some examples and supporting rulers for that, please check out the primer as well, okay? When it comes to, like, I want to talk about the Split Second for just a second, so please appease me for a second. When it comes to Split Second, I have to be fully transparent. At first, I love split second cards. I really do. I really do. I find a reason to play them all the time. I usually like having at least one on my list just because it's like my personal thing. But I do find times, depending on what the list needs, I have to do that whole kill your darlings and get rid of it, because though they're powerful with the split second ability, sometimes they just don't make the cut. There's so many powerful cards in our format. They just got to go. And as cEDH players, we've all had that time where it's like, man, I really love this card, but I got to let it go. And it's hard. Well, notably, the main two reasons why I'll just crack this open. I'm running 3 split seconds effects on my list. I believe in the rule of 3. Shout out to Samurai. He did very well at the Mox Masters tournament last year. He talked about the rule of 3 within its brewing. Having 3 of effect allows it to naturally just come up within as you're drawing the number of cards from your Heuristics study and all the other things there. So I'm having those 3 effects because I want to be able to not have to tutor for these, but naturally have them so I can have another way to win at instant speed. So that's the first reason. And the second and really the main reason why I'm giving energy and time towards these split second spells in my deck is because when you're able to win in an uncounterable way, uninteractable way, it changes the ceiling and floor. Okay, let me break this down. Okay, split second spells, the best part about them was the split second effect. All the extra tech on them, like from Legolas's and Croson Grip and Angel's Grace and Extirpate and Into Deep, those were great because they were just the floor. Like, those are the floor of the card. But the split second saying you can only do like a counterbalance trigger with this to stop the spell made it really good. And that was the ceiling of the card. And that's the reason people still ran them. I'll use another example for Trick Bind is an amazing one because it says counter target activated ability or triggered ability. If a permanent ability is countered this way, activated abilities of that permanent can't be played this turn, okay? So even if, like, for example, Kennen Basalt, they go to untap Assault, you Trick Bind it. It's not like Stifle where they stop it and they just put another activation. Unless they bounce it or recast it or make a copy of it, they can't, let me see, the permanent ability, if a permanent ability is countered this way, activated abilities of that permanent. So they can't untap it unless they copy it or unless they bounce it and recast it. And with that gives you another opportunity to counter it on the stack if you're drawing from your fish, if you're drawing from your Heuristic or Esper, whatever not. But the thing about this is the powerful ability was the floor, the split second was the roof. When you make this now, hey, we are able to win uncountably and uninteractably, that split second, the generically good card, becomes the floor. And the ceiling becomes, when I put this split second spell on the stack, the conversation is over. There's nothing you can do. There's no way you can interact. And there's nothing else you can do. And there's nothing else you can really do in that moment. And I'm not going to take credit for that. This is actually was told to me. And this was really one of the big selling points of the split second as like a viable way to win within cEDH, because I keep saying this. It's not here. It's not the goal is not to take away like silence effects and instant speed effects, but having that way is saying, man, there's like 3 Heuristics studies on board, 2 Espers, 5 smothering ties because someone copied theirs. Like, it's just all these things going on. Everyone's holding up, interaction in hand, guns ablazing. I need a window and I don't have a window. And especially in the tournament scene where like you people are intentionally drawing and all those other things, I really do believe that this has some case. And we may be wrong. Me and Holden and everybody else who believes in this may be completely wrong, and that's fine. But what I will say is that I do believe having a third option within all the options we have to win in your tournament, to win at your local LGS on Friday Night Magic is really powerful, especially one where these cards are they're not bad cards. Angel's Grace is notably one of those cards that isn't the best card on the planet. But if you're in a non-blue deck and you know you're going against Turbo Rockside, you'd be foolish not to run Angel's Grace. You have white, you're Boros. You say, all right, split second, I can't lose the game this turn, and your opponents can't win the game this turn until in the turn damage that will reduce my life total to less than 1, reduce it to 1 instead. So when that Rockside Turbo's out of Thassa's win, you can go, unless they drop the defense grid and you don't have the mana to pay the 3 plus this, you go, all right, in response to your Thassa's ETB, after you've exiled your library, I'm going to Angel's Grace you. Another one that I'm really bullish on, though, is Extirpate. No, hold on. Let me, before that, that's powerful. That's super powerful. Being able to take the time to say, hey, this is a powerful effect. Maybe it's not the best one. I would rather have a counter spell most times to just counter the decounter, counter the Thassus. But in those times, it's a tough time, even within the blue decks, where this is a great way just to cut people out of games, especially in their final fortune turns. Okay, they go for that final fortune turn and they don't run Angel's Grace themselves. In their upkeep, when they try to cast that silence, hey, Angel's Grace, you can't win. Unless you have an Angel's Grace yourself, we're going to Angel's Grace off. You can't win. All right. I can talk about Angel's Grace all day because I actually really enjoy that card. But I do want to move on next to another one that I've already talked about, Trick Bind and Angel's Grace. But the third split second effect that I'm running in my list is Extirpate. 1 black, split second. Choose target card in a graveyard other than a basic land card. Search its owner's library, hand, and library for all. Let me say it again. Search its opponent's graveyard, hand, and library for all cards with the same name as that card and exile them. Then that player shuffles their library, okay? No one plays this in cEDH, and I get it. When the ceiling is that this is an uncounterable, like, effect where, notably, this is what TT sees. When I see this card, I see this as graveyard hate. I see this as an instant speed Thoughtseize effect where you're not stripping the card, but you're kind of checking the coast is clear. You're looking at the person's hand, and this is top deck manipulation because we use so many tutors like Enlightened Tutor, Worldly Tutor, Imperial Silver, Vampiric Tutor. There's so many top deck tutors. This is a great, easy way to say, hey, look, I got a UC and an Ancient Tomb and a Heuristics Study. I'm going to drop this Heuristics Study on turn 2, but return when I hold up Extirpate. If I want to just kind of like tempo somebody or like kind of just play like Minor Control turn 1 to make sure that they are gemstones going in and they're just going to Vampiric Tutor, I can exile that Vampiric Tutor, look at their hand, see if they have counter magic, other things, but shuffle away that top card. I get all these 3 effects at split second as the floor, and if I draw it late game, I just win with it uncounterably. And this, like, just to not shovel, like, roll over this card, not to roll over this card just quickly. I do think it's a powerful card, but recently we're not running it in cEDH because as a ceiling, if we're playing with that such powerful cards, it just can't make the cut in those time. But like I said, the ceiling has become the floor. The ceiling is now you can't interact while win. And nobly, this was with any triggered ability, any win kind that leverages triggered abilities and mana abilities. Okay. And so that is my TED talk when it comes to split second abilities. If you have any more questions, please drop them down, or questions or comments. I'd love to hear your opinion. Drop them down into the comment section or on Twitch or YouTube. I'd love to talk about it. Let's see. In the chat, we got Pato Pendice. What's up, brother? How you doing, Pato? We got, let's see, we also got Noble saying, I have a Hashaton story. Well, again, we got that. We also have D-Trove and I build Hashaton 2, focus on the Esper good side of things. Respect. You're maybe in that Bissy Baxton camp as well. He made a really good Esper good stuff version of Hashaton. Let's see. Hashaton G-Dro says, I dream of making Poliwell Prodigy a good card by making it a 4/4 Frog Wizard. Dude, that's so real. Like, you can, this is goated hand. 2 lands, LED, Poliwag. 4, you can mold down the 4 confidently with that. You go land, LED, turn 2, play your land, cash Hashaton. Whenever you want to, you could crack that LED. I don't give a fuck about the rest of my head. I'm getting a 4/4 Poliwag Prodigy. That means on every non-creature spell that is 3 mana and down, I'm drawing a card. That's busted. I'm sorry. That's busted. Literally. So shout out to you, D-Tro, for seeing that line as well. And there's other, like, we kind of grazed over them, but like, imagine a 4/4 Ochre Spellmaster. Imagine a 4/4, I don't know, like a Psychic Frog where you get the discard effect, but now it's a bigger body and you don't have to discard cards to get bigger, like a 4/4 Ranger Captain, a 4/4 Valley Flood Caller that's uncounterable. You're paying the same 2 in the blue, you're just discarding it and paying it at instant speed, just you're just avoiding attacks. So I think there's a lot of very powerful effects. Consecrated Sphynx, Nezahal, where is it at? Nezahal, Primal Tide. So I think there's a bunch of powerful effects that we cannot look over when we're doing this type of stuff. Next, I want notably let's see, we got, so my budget list has a Thoracle and Raz in it. Player 2, I was the last player in turn order. Cast Path of Exile, targeting my Hashaton. I discarded Raz to my Tortured Existence. Torture and Tutor Thoracle to my hand by sacking Blood Artist, reanimated Thoracle with Hash, then sack Thoracle with her ETB to stack the Tutor Leveler, then discarded Leveler to win the game. That's hot. We got Detroit. That's, first of all, Noah, that's really, that's a dope line. I can't even think. Tell me how much mana that took. Because that sounds like a lot of mana, but it's such a hot line. I'm not gonna cap. And we got D-Trope saying, God, I love Angel's Grace. Literally, it's just such a good card. And last but not least, we have Rule of Three is amazing. Redundancy is king. 100%. I have Samurai. Oh my gosh. He has a red-blue list. He plays Malcolm Kedis, or I don't know if he plays it post-ban, but he won with it at the Mox Masters finals last year, and it's a really good list. And when I was watching his deck tech and just learning from his brewing style, that was something he brought up about a Rule of Three, just allowing that redundancy to be a powerful effect for him to use just in a natural game. So yeah, super, super powerful. Okay, yeah. So yeah, with all these being said, this is the core concept of how the list works. And you all know I said, well, this is not a deck tech. This is not a brewing session. This is the deck collaboration. So before I get into win con lines and all that other stuff, in addition to what I've said, I want to take this time just to push back on my own list before we even get into the list. Because I don't mind push back on my own ideas. So I'm going to start listing off about maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 cards that I'm currently thinking out, and I'd love to get your feedback. Like I said, if you're on Twitch, drop down your opinion down in the comment section on the feed. And also if you're on YouTube, please push back right here. I want to hear your opinion. And I want to start off with the man, the myth, the Sphinx, Consecrated Sphynx. All right. This is a card that I'm just going to be quick with it. I am hesitant to want to use this. If I talk about that same situation I talked about before, where you're able to go land, LED into Consecrated Sphynx turn 2, that's super powerful. You're paying 3 mana for an uncounterable Consecrated Sphynx. But notably, Consecrated Sphynx is a removal magnet. Okay, so you will notice this every game it comes up in cEDH. Someone drops a Consecrated Sphynx, they think they're big brain, whether they're cheating it out with the Kinnan or whatever not, and all the removal at the table just goes to the Consecrated Sphynx. So unless you have, and in this example, we're discarding our hand to draw. So the thing at the end of the day is it worth to run it if the game plan is either have a bunch of mana open in the mid game and discard it to hand and get it out on the board and have the mana to protect it, or get it out so early where people may not have the removal, or they may only have one piece and you force them to remove it. So it doesn't fit TTC's play style to run these types of cards. I much more am in love with, even though it may trigger less often, a Nezahal Primal Tide, where it says whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell, draw cards. And it can protect itself. It has that discard outlet on the body. I think this is great where I'm cheating the mana cost. It's scary, but not to the point where everyone's going to waste their interaction or removal on it, where you kind of force people's hand in a Consecrated Sphynx. Your opponents have to have a super scary board state for them to remove it. And I'm gonna be honest, if I was sitting on a board state where my opponent has a Heuristics Study, I have a Consecrated Sphynx, and I'm sitting here, token Consecrated Sphynx, and my opponent's sitting here with a Chain of Vapor or an Into the Flood Maw, they're like, I'm sorry, T. I understand Heuristics Study is scary, but we can pay for Heuristics Study and play a slow game. We can't interact with your Consecrated Sphynx, drawing 2 cards every turn whenever we draw. And when we start getting our engines down, it's going to get worse and worse. So that's where my own pushback on this inclusion, even though it's super powerful, comes in. It's not fully my play style. We got D-Trope saying people shaking fear out for Sphinx. I don't know how much I like it. In this deck, Sphinx will likely eat the removal they wanted to use for Hashaton. That's true. Yeah, that's true. Nezahal feels more fair for people. It's got the Heuristics Study effect. Yeah, where people don't love Heuristics Study, but it's just they're drawing cards. It's like Faerie Mastermind as well. They're drawing cards. I'm not in love with it, but it's it is what it is. So, if you all have any suggestions, I'm going to move to the next card, but start dropping them down below. I'm completely open to switching Consecrated Sphynx out for another bomb, or it doesn't even need to be a bomb. It could be another card that you all see throughout the deck tech that you feel oh, take Sphinx out for this, or take Sphinx out for this. So fully open to suggestions. For the next suggestion, or for the next card questioning corner is Faerie Mastermind, okay? Now, I've already kind of talked myself into keeping it. Faerie Mastermind, if you're not familiar, is a flash for colorless and a blue. flying creature. Whenever an opponent draws their second card each turn, you draw a card. For 3 colors blue, each player draws a card. So normally I use this as an infinite mana outlet. Notably though, I'm not running any infinite mana outlets into this deck. So it's just generically, I think it's one of the best 2 mana creature hate bears, because unlike stuff like Archivist of Ogma and maybe other things like Polywalk Prodigy, this can trigger itself. You can activate this if you're sitting on a bunch of mana to trigger this. Not even let alone if you're running Smothering Tithe, that synergy is broken. And as of right now, what I've come to the conclusion is I'm going to keep it. I want to hear you all's opinion. I decided that I'm going to keep it in, notably because I'm running Valley Floodcaller and I'm running Praetor's Grasp right here. So because this combo is so common and so popular, I'm thinking about, in the event that I have this like set up on board or in my hand, I can literally go Praetor's Grasp for Helix, and then use Retraction Helix plus Valley Floodcaller plus a 0 mana or net positive rock, plus the Angel's Grace that we keep talking about right here, to do infinite activations. Post making infinite mana, I do infinite activations, bop, 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 and then I can use Angel's Grace to not kill myself. Notably, I don't have to have the Angel's Grace in my hand. I can draw card by card, either with the silence effect on board or not, because once I have that infinite mana, I literally can just go card by card, and even if they try to remove it, they'll need their own split second effect like a Trick Bind to fully shut me down, which maybe in the current meta, if this gets popular, they may do it. In my opinion, I don't think most people are going to hit this until like it hits the tournament scene and people just start consistently winning with it. But we'll see. I'm open to anything. The universe has all possibilities. God works in mysterious ways. We'll see what happens. All right. So so then I will say, notably, when that thought pattern, another thing that I thought about is like, why not run Retraction Helix, and even more the One Ring, since they're both just generically good cards. I'll say that Retraction Helix doesn't feel like a bad card. It's in my sideboard. Notably, I'm not running the One Ring right now because I think it's a solid card, but we're not running any untappers. And I think we have so many other draw effects that we'll get to in a second that I don't think we really need it. I'll say that I'm really more bullish on running Retraction Helix. And if I find that, okay, the One Ring becomes a need, I'll do it, because notably I bring both cards up, because once you make infinite mana with that rock and Valley Floodcaller, you're able then to follow that up with bounce your One Ring infinitely to draw your entire deck. And if you can't win at that point, I don't know what to tell you. Like, you're not playing cEDH then, but yeah. I've kind of convinced myself into keeping Faerie Mastermind, but I want to open the floor again on people's opinion within this card within cEDH. We have, let's see. We have, I didn't see Ledger Shredder on the list. Is it in there? No, I'm not running Ledger Shredder right now. Not because it's a bad card. I think it's a very good card, because I leverage the commander, but I'm not all around the commander. I'm still like an Esper good stuff list in a lot of aspect. I am not running it because of my personal thing of, like, let me be honest, like, how do I say this? I don't like the force discard. Unless you have an actual draw engine on board, Ledger Shredder's connivability, forcing you to discard your hand piece by piece, will make you get rid of cards that you don't want to get rid of at really awkward times. I prefer, personally, the effects that let you choose, like Putrid Imp and Psychic Frog and other, or like Nezahal, that let you choose what cards you want to discard at your choice, and not be like, oh, Ledger Shredder said discard, fuck, I need to either keep a Thassa's Oracle or my counterspell. I think they're got to win, and I don't even have the 3 mana for Thassa's Oracle. I have to discard my Thassa's Oracle right now, and I have to keep some other bullshit card. Or I forgot if it's draw first or discard first, but either way, I'm not a huge fan of the lack of choice when you get to discard. Not a bad card, just not my play style. Let's see. We also got Detro saying, surprised you're not on Subtlety. Oh my gosh, yeah. So currently, you'll see in my sideboard here, Subtlety and Strix Seranade are in the sideboard. I think in such a heavy creature meta, you have to run at least one of these. Personally, if you're interested in how I choose, Strix Seranade is counter target artifact, creature, or planeswalker spell. Its controller creates a 2/2 bird creature token with flying, and in Subtleties for 2 in the blue, you can pitch a blue spell from your hand with the evoke ability, and basically it says in Subtlety ends the battlefield, choose up to 1 target creature spell or planeswalker spell. Its owner puts it on top of or the bottom of their library, and so one is a hard counter spell, another one is like a shuffle, not a shuffle, but put it away in their deck. I have had people say, I'm putting the bottom of the library, I don't want to see this card next turn, but The reason I believe you should run one of these effects is because we're in such a high creature meta. Notably, though, I have to be completely transparent. If my blue count, and if you all are not familiar, if my blue count down here is like, I'm saying between 36 and 40%, I'll run Subtlety, because I know I have enough blue cards in my deck to consistently have something to pitch to both Subtlety, Force of Will, and Force Negation. If my blue count is between, like, is at 30%, then I'll only do Force of Will and Force Negation, and I won't run Subtlety. I've run in Strix Seranade because I still need consistent ways to hit people's Derevi for if they're in Najila, Grand Abolisher if they're in white, or Defense Grid, or the One Ring, and all those other effects. So right now I'm not running either because I don't, when I first brew a list, I focus on, let's just make my list work, and then I'll start to bolster the things and start to see what cards I can cut and make room for the other cards that I really want to enter. Like Tallion's a cool effect. It's legendary, so you can't have multiple copies, but it's still a cool effect, and other things along that line. So yeah, very good one. We have normally I don't like running cards that force a draw, but I think because you're running a split second deck, it kind of negates the downfall of the types of cards in an Oracle deck. Don't talk a little more on that, D-Trove. We got D-Trove says Commander doesn't draw us cards, so we need a 99 for that. A 99 that can. I 100% agree. I was going to get to this later, but notably I took out Smothering Tithe for Necrodominance, not because I wasn't feeling like the deck was drawing enough, but I did feel that Necrodominance over Smothering Tithe allowed me to either have consistent turbo wins as well as easier ways to discard cards with smaller hand size. But lastly, I did like the fact that in like a drawn out game, I can pay 3-4 life to just keep my grip filled, and as I played the game. And Smothering Tithe, I love mana, but it's just not needed. It's, at least in this first iteration, I do love Smothering Tithe because I'm a Marnius player. Let's see. We have no One Ring. No, we don't have a One Ring right now. No untap effects, and so I think it's a really good card. I may actually end up switching. The One Ring. The Necrodominance out for the One Ring in the future, depending on how it feels in the list in like actual games. But as of right now, no. I'm gonna do the Necrodom. It makes it easier to discard because of the smaller hand size. Plus, I can like really like push early wins if I see a window, if I see like I get the gas. So it gives me turbo and mid-range, which people don't know this about me because they see me just playing like Azorius plus like mid-range lists a lot of times. A lot of my lists can win turbo. I just don't push wins that I'm like, I could get the win. I could push a negative Thoracle on turn 2 or 3, but like, I'm just going to go get a Heuristics, or I'm going to get Esper, I'm going to get a Mystic and just grind it out. I still have the D-Tutor in my hand, or I still have the Tainted Pact or the Demonic Consultation hand. I can use them for interaction or this, but I usually choose that play pattern because when I put a win on the stack, I want the conversation to be over, because I found that as I continue to play, I found that was more effective, like for my personality, my play style. But I ain't gonna cap. Mono Red Rionia, y'all, I loved winning fast. It was like the best. Before I knew how to politics so well, I was literally like, my strategy to navigate pods of 3, 4, 5, 6 people when I was like playing casual is I just if I can win faster before people had time to build their board states, it just solved the problem completely. And it was just really great for me. We have, Demonic Council. I think that's in my sideboard. I think Demonic Council, let's see. Demonic Council. Oh, yeah. If you all are not familiar, it says search your library for a demon card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. If there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, instead, search your library for any card, put it into your hand, then shuffle. So with the discard effects and all this stuff, this actually becomes like a live demonic tutor pretty often. So I'm actually running, let's see, what is it called again? I'm running Beseech the Mirror right now because I'm running all the black rituals and everything. I don't think Demonic Council is bad. It is just not, I've never played it before, so I don't like the idea of the floor being all right, the ceiling for Beseech the Mirror is I can have land, Dark Ritual, plus like a Mox Opal or any BS artifact. You'll find that I run a lot of like BS artifacts. I can sack these and just push out a turn 2 Necro, turn 2 Heuristics, whatever the fuck I want to read. And like getting that bargain out is not as hard. And it can also just be a regular tutor at all parts of the game, whether my Graveyard Hate is online or not. The thing about the Demonic Council is, though I think it's really good, I still prefer the Beseech a little bit over Demonic Council, but that's a really good one. I was thinking about it because it's in my sideboard, but I really I like the thought on that. We have Noble saying that's a fair argument. I was a little surprised because the bird is in a bunch of lists. I also don't run it. We're notably going back to the we talked about this just a little bit earlier, notably on not running Leisure Shredder. Like, yeah, it's all different play styles. I like to have full agency in like my list, and I'm saying, and like notably that kind of brings up the next card I wanted to think of that I'm currently really thinking hard on, but I'm kind of a little hesitant on it being where are you at? The card being, I know exactly what it is. I'm not searching for my list for it because I forgot what it was called. Ghostly Pilfer. I love Ghostly Pilfer. I played this card even before I played cEDH. I think it is really cool. I had a Spirits deck that it was a pre-con. It had Ghostly Pilfer. I thought it was so cool. It's just a cool card. If you're not familiar, it's another one of those 2-mana creatures that have a draw engine on the body. It says whenever Ghostly Pilfer becomes untapped, you can pay 2 if you do draw a card. When an opponent casts a spell from anywhere other than their hand, that is casting their commander, that is Underworld Breach, that's Yawgmoth's Will, that is casting from impulse draws, you get to draw a card, and it has on the body discard a card. Ghostly Pilfer can't be blocked this turn. So usually the intent of this card is for it never to be a dead card. You can discard a card, attack with Ghostly Pilfer, and then when you untap on your next turn, you untap and you can pay 2 mana to draw 1 card, because let me see, yeah, you can draw 1 card from its very first ability. What I found is, though, the 2/1 body, granted, we get around that with Hashaton. If we discard this card, we can make it a 4/4. I'm like, the 2/1 was kind of like, I'm a little hesitant on that. The more thing is, I was worried about how many cards this would realistically draw. So, not that these cards are competing for slots, but when I had to think about this one versus the notable, you already see it's in my list, the Psychic Frog, I wanted more discard outlets in the list, even though they may not all be mana abilities, like for example, like LED or other things along that line. I wanted more discard outlets in this list. And even though Psychic Frog only draws on combat damage, it doesn't have a triggered ability, I was kind of like, I just feel more confident that in those mid-range games that I can, like, if I'm at like 8, 9, 10 cards in hand, I'm gonna already have to discard those cards to hand. So I can go to combat with 8 to 10 cards in hand, and if they feel like I'm not gonna discard those cards, I'm gonna discard the cards, and they can waste the removal. They can do whatever the heck they want. They can feel how they want to feel, but that's how I feel about it. You know what I'm saying? So, let's see. Yeah, that's kind of my thought process when it comes to the 2-mana draw creatures. I think Ledger Shredder is awesome, but I would definitely put in if I had to choose, I definitely put in Ghost Pilfer before Strix Serenade, because I can control the discard. And y'all, if you got arguments for this card, please put me on. Like, I want to run it, but it's just like, give me examples where this really draws, because unless I'm going against Ob Nixilis, by the time, my thing is like the way when Underworld Breach finally hits the board, it's like, yo, it's too late. They have their whole counter swing in their graveyard. They can just cast the source from the graveyard so they don't overfeature Ghostly Pilfer, and so it's too late. So, like, what regular effects happen in our games that really, like, outside of like the niche Ob Nixilises and like those type of effects that really make this like regular? Like, what are cEDH staples that trigger this? So, y'all, if y'all can answer that, that's really my hold up with this card. And I don't want to pay 2 mana every turn to draw. I'd rather do combat damage to draw every turn. And because Psychic Frog grows with its discard effect with the +1/+1 counter, it's not a pump for the turn, it's a counter. I feel confident that can at least draw me 1 extra card each turn. So let's see. We also have Demonic Council, though, another demonic tutor for or a single tutor for Raz. I'm not currently on Razaketh. I'm interested to hear the lines that people had in mind. I never played a Razaketh deck. I've like watched people play them and I've like reviewed their decks, but I never played one myself. So I've never like experienced, oh my gosh, I'm so in love with this. Like it's just never I never fell in love with it. So yeah, I think it's super powerful. Just never fell in love with it. We have Noble says Strix Seranade is so underestimated. I agree. It's ridiculously underestimated. I agree 1,000,000,000%. I gotta give shout outs again to my guy. Give a huge shout out to my guy Newsom, because he was the first one to say, him and Bissy, but Newsom was really the one to say, yo, Strix is up right now in the cEDH, man. I'm like, okay, I'll try it. And so when I started to lose the creature like decks more, not because I didn't have counter magic, but I just didn't have the right counter spells, that's when Strix started to come up more. We also have Detros saying, so cards like Talion force you to draw a card. If you go to win with a dedicated Thassa's deck, someone can cast a spell in response to make you draw. The fact that you are playing a white deck for silence effects can win it at split second means that the cards like Talion don't hurt you as much. I agree. That is one thing that I used to say it all the time, because I heard them talking about now running to one demonic consultation because it gets rid of the entire library instead of tainted pack gets rid of as much as you want, meaning you can set a buffer for yourself, and Talion itself is a blue creature, so you can leave at least one card in there, 1-2 cards in there. Notably, it's in the sideboard. I'm thinking about it. I think right now, if I put in order in my head, I think I would still put Ghostly Pilfer in before I put Talion, like just because of the discard effect. I think I'm finding in my playtest, and I'm like, having a discard outlet is not like busted, but it's just helpful because at instant speed you can just let me just get that onto board uncounterable, and it makes all your creatures uncounterable in the way, and I really like that. Talion is really good, and I would run it over the Ghostly Pilfer, but it's just like a 4-mana draw engine. It's kind of in that one ring territory where it's really good, but because I'm sitting between turbo and mid-range, kind of think my Satya list. I'm turbo list that also is really strong in the mid-range list, and I'm also a mid-range list that's also really strong in the turbo game. So those 4-mana draw engines become a little tougher to run. Notably, I wasn't running the 1 ring in my Satya list, and people always ask like, no 1 ring, no this. No. I'm like, it's 4-mana. Like I don't like by the time I get it, I have to get it out turn 1 to turn 2 to really feel confident, and I can do that in this list with Dark Ritual or other things, but for now, I'm going to just sit with Talion in the sideboard. I think it's really good. I really like the card, though. We say, Noble says, Valgaboth, Terror Eater is pretty harsh in a list like this. Some same with Hullbreaker. So my pushback on Hullbreaker Horror is that we don't have an infinite mana outlet outside of the 1 ring that we're not running, and also the Faerie Mastermind, but that means we have to make sure that we have the Faerie Mastermind in a hand or a way to get it after we make infinite mana, which isn't impossible, but I personally prefer to run Hullbreaker Horror and like things like Tidespout Tyrant in lists with the infinite mana outlet, similar to Marnia's Calgar, Kinnimbata Prodigy, or Thrasios list. That's my personal conviction. Don't take it out of your list if you believe in it, but I would encourage you to think about that line of thought before adding Hullbreaker Horror in this specific list. You can soft stack the game out if you want to do that, though. With Hullbreaker, you technically could bounce all the people's things by infinitely casting your commander, and then you just hold the game off until you win. That is an option. I'm not a huge fan of that. I want to just end the game. So we have Valgaboth. This one came out in a recent set. So if you're not familiar with this one, the Terror Eater, it is a 9-mana Elder Demon. Okay, 9-mana Elder Demon, flying life leak, 9/9, has self-protection. Notably, sacrifice 3 non-land permanents. If a card you didn't control will be put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. And so it says during your turn you may play cards exiled with Valgaboth. If you cast spells this way, pay life equal to the mana value rather than pay its mana cost. Because it didn't control would be. So it's graveyard hate. Very big beater for 3 mana, notably, and it says only during our turns we can play cards from our opponent's libraries if they go into the graveyard. That's actually really good. I am not looking for a hate piece immediately, but this is actually objectively good. I'm gonna put this in the sideboard so I can keep thinking about it in my subconscious. I actually really like this. I like it so much, not to stroke anybody's ego, but I like this card so much, I'm going to make sure it's the art I actually like, so every time I see it I think about it. I'm not really feeling these arts. No, it's no really regular full arts. I'm not feeling it, so I'll just leave it that like this one for now. Maybe I'll fall in love with the purple and yellow later. We have Detrove saying is nice, but ends up being worse than Sphinx. That's already iffy. And that's already iffy. Personally speaking, I agree. Fair. Instant tech for Hash might be Faerie Macabre as target yard hate. We talked about this when actually in the TC Discord. So Faerie Macabre, if you all are not familiar with this, for 3 mana, as in colorless and 2 black, you get a 2/2 Fairy Rogue. It says flying, discard Faerie Macabre, exile up to 2 target cards from your graveyards. So this one is great for a card like Hashaton. I think it's really powerful, especially because it discards itself. You don't need a discard outlet. You can just pay the 2 and blue at instant speed. You exile two cards from graveyard. So any graveyard, you exile any 2 cards, and then you can bring this onto the board if you so wish. And you can loop it with cards like this. I'm not running this one personally right now, but you can loop it with cards like, if I can find it. Where you at, baby? Come on. You can loop it with cards like Tortured Existence that state black, choose and discard a creature card, return target card from your graveyard to your hand. So once you discard Faerie Macabre, you can play a block, bring it back by discarding another creature card, and then you can, discard Faerie Macabre again. As many creatures you have in hand, you can really just shred up graveyards. I like the tech. I think it's really cool. If I can be fully transparent, it is not something that I'm looking for in my list personally, because if I can just be fully transparent, the game plan of this card is graveyard hate, which is cool. Notably, we are running that split second card that fills this slot, being Extirpate. Granted, it only hits 1 card, but it gives us information about our opponent's hands. Plus, it shovels the top of their library if they're going for top deck hate. And notably, this is just it's a 3 mana creature that, I personally would not want to get it on bird, because Hashaton makes a creature enter tapped, so it's not an instant speed blocker. It's more of a thing where I'm just I see it has cool synergy, but how TTC likes to brew is, I don't brew for synergy. I brew to win first, and then I start looking for what are synergy pieces that support that win line, because we're playing cEDH to win. So I don't think it's a bad card, but it is definitely a card that it's not my first or my favorite include for my personal cEDH brew. But I'm glad that we got to talk about it. I'm gonna leave it in my considering board. I like to keep track of all the cards. What about Psychophog? It is just like Frog, but 1 more mana. Psychotog. Let's see. Psychotog is 3, discard a card from your hand. Psychotog gets +1/+1 at the end of turn. Remove 2 cards from a graveyard to end the game. Psychotog gets +1/+1 to the end of the game. So same conversation here. I think there's cheaper effects now in 2025 that we can get a similar effect to this and not have to worry about casting a 3 mana spell. Notably, it does curve well with Hashaton, where you can go turn 1 this, turn 2 Hashaton, turn 3, and then it'll be turn 3 discard cards whenever we want, but we wouldn't be able to activate it till turn 4. What I would rather do is something like where Psychotog, instead of Psychotog, I'd rather have something like a Putrid Imp, where it goes turn 1 Putrid Imp, turn 2 Hashaton, turn 3. That's 3. Just if we have bullshit hands, we have 3 mana now to discard, leveraging Putrid Imp, and we can get rid of our Polywog or Valley Floodcaller or Ranger. You can do all that at instant speed and really set up for some cool things for just 2 in the blue. So not a bad card. I think there's better cards in 2024. Let's see. Noble says, I think Hashaton is a resilient commander. We can probably brew it to be really obnoxious, a really obnoxious Esper option. I'll definitely say I don't. I'll say this. I don't personally brew to be obnoxious. I don't enjoy playing against brews that are literally focused on trying to stop me versus brews that are trying to win. I love going against brews that are trying to win because it's quicker experience. Even though the game may be quicker, I love Thassa's Oracle because it's just all right, Thassa's game over. All right, cool. We play again. Oh, let's play again. And whether the game was 10 minutes or 50 minutes or 2 hours or 2-3 hours, this being able to say the game is over. Whenever I play those decks where they say we're trying to stop the people from enjoying or not even just enjoying, we're trying to stop people from playing the game, it always reaches the apex where you're only stopping one to two of the players, and there's always another deck that can sneak in a win, because it's impossible to meta against every deck ever created, especially with the high level of cards being printed right now. So that's my personal conviction. I don't love the brew lists that are like locked in to stopping people. I do like the goal is to stop people. Notably, I get to play like that because when I play generically good cards, like for example, I can chain a Vapor their turn one fish to drop my rocks, and if I have nothing on board yet, there's nothing really going to do but take that one draw and feel it. I can force a negation their Heuristics study. I can use these generically good cards to be able to get that same effect if I feel like the pod needs that. Like, I need to go slower. My hand was bullshit. I need to go slower. So it's just another option for me. Let's see. We have also was saying the argument I have for Hullbreaker is to bounce any stack effects you may need to bypass, like a Mind Sensor effect or Oppo Agent or Voidwalker. I feel that. Where I'll push back to is I think there's other effects that we can get a similar effect and not have to pay 3 mana. I think that in the highest levels of cEDH, that Chain of Vapor, Cyclonic Rift, or other effects where we can get that same effect on instep because they're all instant speed. Even the Noble, the land sinking the Stupor, being able to hold this land on instep, I'm going to bounce whatever effect is stopping me. Or how also TTC loves a brew, I'll just sit behind the Stax effect and not give a fuck. I'll just be patient. I don't have to remove the Stax effect, because if I know if I know an opposition agent is stopping everybody, I would prefer to win through the opposition agent than win once I remove it. Because if everyone stops me, that means no one else has to deal with the opposition agent. Like if I pathed it or swords it or whatever not, versus if I just wait to draw into the pieces I need to win, I don't have to worry about the opposition agent. And whether I get stopped or win the game, it doesn't matter, because they're going to still have to get rid of the opposition agent themselves. And when they do, if I get stopped, or if I'm even still being patient, I can still keep pushing after that, because I'm like, oh, you remove the opposition agent, great. Now I didn't have to waste any resources, and I can politic and say, yo, you remove the oppo, we need to focus on this player because they're trying to win, or they're trying to progress their board state to the point where we don't have another chance to like interact and stop them. So that's my personal thing. I don't think we need the Hullbreaker effects of paying 3 for a Hullbreaker to remove anything when we have great removal at 3 mana and down to get the job done. That's just me personally, but I respect it. And we don't need our commander on board to do that effect. Basically paying 5 mana for that effect and needing a discard effect on board, because we have to tell about the Hashaton and also the trigger ability on this and all the other things. Not a bad idea, but not my preferred. Let's see. We got you're not being a chat hog. Who said that? Oh, we got Detro saying resident chat hog. We got not that psych. Get that psych talk. My computer. Hey, bro, we don't shoot down ideas. We gotta talk about everything. You know what I'm saying? This is how we grow and we learn. We gotta talk. Let's see. What I meant by notches is that it can be turbo or mid range or continuously threaten wins. Okay, cool. Watchful Spirit says, I'm feeling called out. I wasn't even thinking about you, Watchful, but it's good to see you. I wasn't even really thinking about you. I don't think, what do you mean called out? Talk to me, brother. I want to hear, how do you feel? Let me know how you feel, brother. All right. With that being said, I do want to keep going with other cards that I was looking at. I can just shred through the ones that we luckily have already kind of talked about them, but the next card that I was thinking a little bit about, am I on the wall about, is Overeager Apprentice. Notably, Overeager Apprentice, I thought about it a little longer. I'm going to keep it in the list because what you can do with this card is that whether it is a Thassa's Oracle or we get to the win cons, we're on Lab Man, we can go Demonic Consultation or Tainted Pact, leveraging the black mana of Overeager Apprentice, and then activate pay the triggered ability to bring back the Lab Man or the Thassa's Oracle and win the game. So I still do like only having the singular discard effect, even though we can't do the Leveler plus Thassa's or Leveler plus Lab Maniac combo on the list. We've already talked about Psychic Frog and my kind of feelings about why I'm in or out about that. Next is Putrid Imp. Notably, I talked about you all about the reason I do love Putrid Imp, the curving out ability, and notably, I didn't say this, but I love that we have a discard effect that can get tutored by Ranger Captain of Aeos. If you're not familiar, Ranger Captain's ETB says when it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a Keetra card with converted mana cost 1 or less, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Okay, so being able to say, okay, with my Ranger Captain, I can get a draw engine, I can get a clone effect, or just a blue card to pitch my Force of Will or Force Negation, or the Subtlety if we add that, or I can get a discard effect that's extremely synergistic with my commander to be able to just get it out because I'm like, oh, I have all the pieces to win at instant speed, or I have all the pieces to do this, but I don't have a way to discard the cards because my LED got exiled or something. I can leverage my Ranger Captain to go get my Putrid Imp. So that's my reasons for it. My reasons against it is that it's a 1/1. Bowmasters get rid of it really easily, but on the flip side, our commander can make it a 4/4 by discarding the Putrid Imp or discarding any of our discard effects to our commander's ability. The second thing is notably, it doesn't do anything out of discarding and being a beater. I'm not fully against that. I'm just saying, like, that's just the truth. You know what I'm saying? Like, it can give itself flying by discarding, and so that's cool. But I do like more of these Psychic Frog effects or Nezahal, that their static ability lets them be a standalone card. So thinking a little against that. Just that one as I think about things through. Next one is, I actually have to give shout outs again to Holding Prio. Jolted Awake is a card that I saw it when it printed on Modern Horizons 3, but wasn't like immediately in love with it. Like I think I was brewing my Saya 8th Flux Genius list, and I was like, hey dog, like, it's cool, but it's only up to a 2-drop, and I have 3 drops in this list. And now I'm thinking about, well, after talking to Holden, it gets back your LED, which is one of the most powerful cards on the list, as long as we have something we actually want to bring back. If we don't have any creature hand, LED is just a regular LED, but it can bring back your LED, it can bring back your Thassus. We can go through it very quickly. It brings back your Thassus, it brings back your Imp, your Psychofrog, your Polywog, brings back Bowmasters, bring back Mockingbird, but only if there's a 0-drop on board, because notably Mockingbird says you may have Mockingbird Entity as a copy of any creature on the battlefield with mana value less than or equal to the amount of mana spent to cast Mockingbird, except it's a bird in addition. So unless there's a 0-drop on board, you didn't spend any mana to cast it, so just be a Mockingbird. But you can bring back Lothal, you can bring back Grand Abolisher, you can bring back Archivist, you can bring back Esther, you can bring back Faerie Mastermind, all these things, but then you're not just limited to creatures. And you can also bring back, we'll talk about Chromatic Sphere and Chromatic Star, but you can bring back all of the artifacts currently in this list. All of them are 2 or less mana, so bring back in your Wish Claw, or bringing back a Moonsilver Key, and then follow that up by instant speed tutor because you're for a LED, because you're sitting on your turn under a Valley Flood Caller to go get your LED. Like, there's so many unique lines you can do with notably this one over the other effects. And then notably also because we're running Savine's Reclamation, where before we can now even addition, we can get all the artifacts still, but now the only cards we technically can't bring back from our graveyard are big drops, being Nezahal Primer Tide, the Leveler, or Consecrated Sphynx. Everything else can be brought back, from our Lab Maniac to our Ranger Captain to our Valley Flood Caller, because we have Savine's Reclamation in this list. So this is something like, these are like 2 cards where you'll notice I'm not running Reanimate right now. I think it's a really good card, but you'll see if we go back to our sideboard, I'm notably playing Putrid Imp over Tortured Existence over Reanimate. I was playing around with wanting to run either of these. Like, at first I really want to add Reanimate back, but I was like, all right, Tortured Existence, everyone's playing it, let me play around with it. And then the more I thought about the card, and when I looked up the ruling for the card, you have to have a legal creature in your graveyard to activate Tortured Existence. So this can't be like a reanimation effect. So then I really thought about it more. Well, since I got Reanimate out the list while I'm in curiosity mode, well, let's add in Putrid Imp for all the reasons I talked about before. And it's still the 1 black mana. And I, like, honestly, when I was brewing the list, I found I needed more ways to discard cards than more ways to bring things back, because the commander itself in the worst universe can bring those creatures back if I discard them to Putrid Imp. So I really like this. I liked it. So but still, with all that being said, I am still running ways to bring things back from the graveyard straight to the board. Okay, now let's see. We got Noble says, I like Overeager Apprentice for the list. Discarding into ritual can present a win in strong as hell. I agree. Notably, like we brought up earlier, Overeager Apprentice is a mana ability, so this can do under split second. So what you can do is, I'm going to cast my Demonic Consultation, look for interaction, or actually be looking for interaction and be like, you know what? There's no interaction I can get to stop this. I'm just going to exile my entire library. You know what I'm saying? Or take it back. I'm going to exile my whole library it is what it is. Then I can cast that split second spell, crack my Overeager Apprentice, and either discard my discard my Thassus or my Lab Man to get the same effect we get from our LED from Overeager Apprentice. So I really like this. Notably, what I also love by Overeager Apprentice, it's a filter. It's a really great filter to push out our Necrodominance, Necropotence. Also helps out get our heavy triple black pip spells like Beseech the Mirror and also Praetor's Grasp. So in cEDH, 3 mana turn 2 is not a hard ask, but 3 black mana turn 2 can be tough. So honestly, in general, like I'm thinking that possibly running this card in other decks that don't even have this commander, I'm like, I really like this card. I'm thinking like in Breach decks where I can discard cards I don't need to like get the triple black. I'm just throwing this out there. I could see Rockside playing this bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like, granted, they have a lot more. They're playing. I'm not playing Culling the Week. They are playing Culling the Week, but like, this is my Culling the Week because it's centered like where they have a 0 drop that they can Culling the Week on turn 1. I have a way to discard cards and still get the mana. So I think this card is awesome. Noble says I don't like him, but it being a single mana is appetizing. I respect it, man. Like that's how I feel too. Like I'm not like that's really the selling factor. The fact that it's a 1 mana, it curves out well. Ranger Captain gets it. It's just so many reasons to play this, but it's just like it does nothing else but discard cards. It's not my most favorite. It's not my favorite type of top deck either. Like if I draw this in a long drawn out game, this won't help me get out my hole. Something like, for example, we go back to it, the Ghostly Pilfer, that same slot. Yeah, it's 2 mana, so it clashes for that curve out slot for Hashaton, but in a long drawn out game, Ghostly Pilfer can really help in places that Putrid Imp can't, because it can draw cards and get the Esper good stuff engines back rolling. So trust me, I hear you, brother. Yeah, like it's a whole thing. It is a whole thing. And while we're on the conversation, the last 2 cards for our card questioning corner, as you can see here, I'm running Chromatic Sphere and Chromatic Star. If you didn't understand this line when we were talking about it for our split second discussion, Chromatic Star and Chromatic Sphere are synergistic. First, for mana filtering, I'm finding like, because I am running not a lot of colorless sources, but when I was playtesting lists, just generically, the floor of this card, just filtering and drawing cards is great for our top deck tutors, and for those times where we have extra colors mana from Ancient Tomb, Mana Vault, or Soul Ring, or City of Traders. It's just great for that. Or if we need triple black and we got a Singular Super on the board because we want to get our Necrodom out, or whatever the heck is the reason. But the ceiling for the card isn't once again the ceiling. The ceiling has become the floor, and the new ceiling is okay. I don't have Thassus Oracle in my list. I don't have Thassus Oracle in my hand. I have Lab Maniac in hand, and I can still cast that split second spell, crack my LED, discard a Lab Maniac and a Leveler, and then with these abilities, the split second ability still in the stack, I can exile my library, do the Lab Maniac, and still activate and filter with the either or both of the Chromatic Sphere or Chromatic Scar, because these are both mana abilities. Please check my primer to get that breakdown. These are both mana abilities that allow me just to do my thing very well at a super high level. So the only thing is, though, I don't think I need 2 of them. I think 1 will be fine, but I'm play testing with 2 because I'm just in experimentation mode. Like, I love the way DJ Yavamai said, I'm throwing stuff on the wall and seeing what sticks. If I had to choose between the 2, I'd choose Chromatic Star because we have a lot of stacks in cEDH, or not a lot, but this only draws cards when it hits the graveyard. This draws card on the resolution of the ability, even though if you're using it to help cast a spell, the draw would happen after the resolution of the spell. This, though, like, it can just draw you a card and just filter mana. So if I were to take Chromatic Star out, I already know that I would honestly add in that good old Springleaf Drum. This is just a generically powerful card that says tap and untap creature you control, add 1 mana, mean color, meaning we can go turn 1 Springleaf, turn 1 Hashaton, tap Hashaton to push out an Esper or push out a fish or whatever, like in-step tutor or whatever we want to do to to keep the line going. So that is something that I think about. I do want to add this to the list. It's just I'm trying not to filter things, and I want to find a need. I want to lose, or I want to be in a game where I could have won sooner had I had Springleaf Drum over. I could have won sooner had I had like Springleaf Drum over something like a Chromatic Sword or a Chromatic Sphere. Like I'm leaning more on this one because it helps get around stacks more in our format, but I'd be down for either. I want to keep one in though, because being able to win at that split second is my third branch of how do we support winning protected. And very last one, we've talked about it a lot. I've talked about all the reasons I love it. We took Smothering Tithe out for Necrodominance. This is a really like tough thing because y'all, first of all, you know the thing about TTC, I don't love like using cards that leverage my life total because I'm more of a patient player. I don't mind winning on turn 25, or I'm joking. Like, I don't mind winning on turn 7 or 8. I don't. Like, a win is a win. I don't care if it takes hours. I have a large endurance for playing long games. And when you play these ad nauseum, Necropotence, Necrodominance, Bolas Citadel, and other effects like this, you put a target on your black to say their life total is high. If we're in a long game, we need to make sure we're punishing them over the game. However, what I'm finding in this list specifically, Necrodominance and Necropotence's ability to be, hey, I can overfill your hand and let you discard these cards to get that discard effect. So I'm counting them as discard outlets is really powerful. Even more than Necrodominance can lower my hand size, which seems like a weakness. I'm seeing it as a strength because now, hey, yo, I have a hand size of 5. I have the 6 mana needed to go level or Thassus. I only have 7 cards in hand. I'm going to make sure I drop this Necrodominance and untap with it so I can get my hand size enough to discard and just win the game. And that's something you can't do with a lot of other cards. And this also just notably just being like a turbo win. You get this down turn 1 or 2, win turn 2 or 3, bada bing, bada boo. You know what I'm saying? My other hesitation with it is I'm only on 2 instant speed effects, being Born Upon the Wind and Valley Flood Caller. So I'm also very open to being able to just say, hey, I'm not going to try to win with these. It's turn 3, 4, 5. I'm going to just cast it as a draw engine. Every end step, I keep my hand full. And because we're not a breach deck, I don't mind just exiling the cards I'm not using. Because as long as I have Thassa's Oracle, Laboratory Maniac, and or Praetor's Grasp, I can still win the game in a combo-centric way. And because I'm making 4/4s, there's also ways for me just to play the beats game and piece by piece just smack people up, okay? Yeah, and that's it. Like, that's where that's where my head's at with the deck. Those are the card questioning corners. If you have any thoughts or opinions or things that, hey, TC, I'm also questioning this card, I'll be going over all the cards in their categories right now very quickly, so make sure to drop them down below. But before we get into the win cons of the list, we've already talked about them, but I want to fully get into them. We have First Noble saying, all in all, I just love Hash as the opening commander for us to explore the cEDH meta with for 2025. The different ways it can be built means we aren't necessarily going to encounter exact mirror matches. I agree. There is so many ways to build this commander, because like I'm sure there'll be an apex way, or like this is the best way, the most commonly built. But then people have, like, when you get those master brewers and those master pilots who had like, this is how I play the game. You'll have someone playing a turbo variant, or for me, like turbo mid-range or pure mid-range or stacks where they're cheating out fat stacks. Like, people are playing the big Eldritch Norns that shrieks all the creatures. And if you get that fat Eldritch Norn on board as early as turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, everyone's board's wiped and they're never going to be able to come back from that. Because we say, oh, play more removal. Even sometimes cEDH decks, we don't have the removal for such a large creature. So just something to keep in mind, 100%. Let's see. Noble says maybe obnoxious wasn't the right word earlier. Durable is probably more accurate. I feel you there. I respect it. Yeah. I just, when I hear like obnoxious, I'm like, I just think about the players who literally the goal of their deck is to stop other people. I'm like, you did it. You did the thing. So please win now before someone else wins, because just win the game. And they'll be like, oh, I didn't draw it yet. I just have more counter. I'm like, okay, all right. Well, then I'm going to probably win, or someone else is going to probably win, because they've been perfectly like waiting for the game to just draw to the point where they can take use of the fact that no one can do anything but them. So yeah, we got Pi saying, pretty good. Definitely looking at this guy for high power casual reanimator. I definitely can see that. Like, I think honestly, cEDH, we gonna have some time finding like, this the best turbo, or this the best brew for me, or this the best mid-range, this is the best stacks. But casual, bro, yo, this is gonna be crazy, bro. You push this bitch out turn 2, turn 3, you discard, like, I don't fucking know, you just discard the craziest thing on the planet, and the whole table's just like, no. Or 7 mana Elish Nor. I talked about that one earlier. I'm thinking about you high power casual, you just fucking with people. But 7 mana Elish Nor also gets it done. If you're not familiar, not this one, but this one right here, Elish Norn Grand Xenobite. Vigilance, other creatures you control get +2/+2, and creatures your opponents control get -2/-2. Granted, you probably won't see in TTC's rule because I don't like running cards that the objective as a card is to stop my opponents. It can be a finisher if you beat your opponents up, but I do think since you like there are so many ETB wins, whether it's winning with Thassa's Oracle, Laboratory, well, no, Lab doesn't work because Lab Med is a 2/2. And it would die with Elish Norn. Yeah, it's state-based actions. But they could just win with Thassa's, and there's other ways, or Breach. And this, like, there's so many wins cons that get around this. It would be annoying. It could stop them, but having a whole slot to stop this, unless I have a Stax Brew or a creature beats Brew intentionally, I probably wouldn't warn in mind. But in high power, oh my gosh, you would wreck. Oh, goodbye turn 3 through 5 after that. Still think Rafine is better Reanimator Commander for casual. That's fine. That's fair. I'll say this. Rafine. Let me look at this. I'm going to give the TTC opinion. Let me see. Rafine, Scheming Seer. Honestly, for casual, yeah, because technically you don't have to pay. This is the discard outlet when you attack. You get it out turn 3 at the slowest. Attack turn 4. For casual, that's not the end of the world. And it just target a creature connives X, where X is the number of attacking creatures. You can connive however you want. And instead of having the reanimation effect in the command zone, you have the discard effect in command zone. And it protects itself. Ward 1 is, I mean, it's not Tivit Ward, but it's Ward. It's like, oh, okay, I can see that. I don't really have a full opinion on what's better for casual, because casuals, I see that with more self-expression, and because the card catalog you have access to is so much higher, I think it's more about like, do you want to have the reanimation effect in your command zone, or do you want to have the discard effect in the command zone? And both have their like benefits and drawbacks. You know, benefits for this one is you can put more bombs in here and don't have to worry about having that run a bunch of like reanimation spells. On this one though, you just need to worry about making sure you have enough small creatures to attack with to have a high enough connive, or you can just attack with this one and bring back bombs that way, because you only need to really connive once to discard one card. So yeah, and it's from early, it's draw X cards, so you draw first then discard when we were talking about Ledger Shredder. Yeah, but yeah, I think it's like dealer's choice, like what do you want more? All right, well, with that said, we don't have a crazy amount more time, you all. We got to get into this gameplay pretty soon, but you all know what I do. Before we get into the next section, I just got one important thing to say. If you're looking for more ways to support the show, we have a plethora. Starting off with our TC community, please join us for free. It is awesome to talk about brewing, spoilers, and jam games. We want to make sure that we get the jam games as much as possible, because I want to make sure that the things that we're brewing is also having the time that we can actually test those ideas out. So make sure to join and have a great time and just have a blast, honestly. But if you want extra perks like playing on our live streams and Discord video and exclusive Discord chats, also you want to have your shouts on our YouTube videos and streams and other perks like Proxy discount codes and merch and all that, please check out our Thunder Legion Patreon community. These amazing men and women are really the reason I'm able to do what I do, and it's the best way to support me. So if that's what you're interested in, please check out the link in the bio to join the Patreon. I want to give a huge shout out to Wavy Ashira, Bissy Baxton, The Praetor, B-Rad, and Sir Trekkie. These guys rock, and they keep the lights on the way, like I said, like no other people. And last but not least, VSACAT. I don't want the Patreon, the proxies, the perks. I just want to say one time for the fun time that I love what you do and I want to support you. Don't worry. Check the link out in the bio. You can buy me a coffee. It keeps me up and keeps the lights on. But with that said, let's get into it. I want to talk quickly about win cons and all the other categories, just like as in a regular deck tech, so I can give you all more opportunities to like kind of poke holes in the deck and kind of bring other cards to light that TTC may have missed. So starting off with win cons, check out the primer. We go to win cons down here. Notably, when it comes to infinite mana or mass draw engines, we have Necropotence and Necrodominance. It's not here at this time. But with Born or Valley Floodcaller, you can draw anywhere from 25 to 35 cards to set up a board or / win at instant speed. So this is some really cool one. We're not in red, so we don't get Final Fortune. And I'm choosing right now not to run a bunch of instant speed enablers. The 2 is just fine for me. But whether it's just like I'm going to go a little bit deep, let's see what I get off that versus whatever I try to do. I do love this because we can get Necro down turn 1, turn 2, turn 2 to turn 3. We can win the game with Born and Valley. When it comes to our actual ways that we win is our outlets and our finisher category. We have Thalass's Oracle plus Demonic Consultation, Tainted Pack, Leveler, or the Leveler is a way to win through the protection from the One Ring, and we can just win the game because Thalass's Oracle says if X is greater or equal to the number of cards in your library, you win the game. And the same exact situation for Laboratory Maniac, but we do need to add a draw trigger onto the stack. This can be done under a silence effect. This can be done under split second, and this also can be done at instant speed. The whole point is to leverage our 99 to be able to make sure that we can protect our Laboratory Maniac or make sure our opponents can't touch our Laboratory Maniac when we're looking to draw from that library. And also, fun fact, if you are afraid that your opponents can respond to your Laboratory Maniac and kill you before he hits the board, don't worry, because you have Angel's Grace as well, so you can't lose the game. You see, Angel Grace, lesson for today. Angel Grace is the best card ever, if we learned anything today. All right. And last but not least, we are running Praetor's Grasp specifically, not just because it's a tutor, but also that the ceiling for the card is to steal an opponent's outlet or finisher if our owns get exiled. Notably, this does not work under Dranded Magistrate or if an opponent has the One Ring protection. So keep this in mind when you cast this spell. If you say, oh shit, I went for a decon to go get a piece of interaction, I exiled my thoughts in the lab, man, but I have my P-Grasp in hand. All right, I want to Praetor's Grasp, the Tim the Crown player. Oh, they just cast a One Ring. Let me wait a turn rotation and Valley Flood Caller do it at instant speed later on. So something that I'll keep in mind. I did want to talk about one last thing. Notably, when I first got this list from Holden, he is notably running, and this is not to hold him against anything. Like when he originally brought the idea to me, he had a lot of Forsaken Minor combos. I would really encourage you all. I want to give him a huge shout out. I want you all to check his list out because he comes from a whole different perspective, whole different mindset. If you have Forsaken Minor on board or in the graveyard, if you have Blood Artist or Vengeful Blood Witch and Warren Soul Trader, and at least 2 life or Phyrexian Altar on board, you can do infinite death and self-life gain triggers and sacrifice triggers. And then you can also do infinite opponent life loss and infinite ETBs and LTBs. And the full combo breakdown is right here. But the whole point of this is another combo that you can do completely under split second. So that's the intent of the line. I personally, it doesn't fit my playstyle because it was a lot more pieces to assemble and the cards alone weren't doing enough for me personally, but that does not take away that this is 100% a viable combo if that fits your playstyle of more the aristocrat style thing. So like, check this out. Oh, we got Noble saying I run minor combo, like 100%. This is a 100% viable combo, like 100%. And notably, if your sack outlay is Phyrexian Altar, this all can get done in a split second. So even in budget, you can run a split second card and do this full combo under split second. It's fucking ridiculous. Let's see. We have Newsom saying, if you all joined the server, I just posted my Rafine casual list. Yeah, y'all check it out, bro. Check it out. Real shit. You know, Newsom was a great pilot. I think he's actually the one that him and Bissy put me on to Strix Seranade and like the viability, especially within cEDH with all of the all of the creature count, like all the creature combos and whatever not. So y'all check it out. Real shit. All right. But with that being said, we've talked about our win cons. It is a very, like, there's no combo lines yet. There's none like all that fancy stuff where I usually have all these intricate stuff in my lines. It's a pretty straightforward. Notably after this, just talking about the enable tags, check it out at the top of my page. When it comes to our discard outlets, the best one, of course, being LED. But if there's no creatures in the hand, then you'll just find that LED is just a LED. Other discard outlets will notably be our Cephalic Coliseum once we have our Threshold ability on, Overeager Apprentice, Psychic Frog, Putrid Imp, Nezahal Primal Tide being that multi-card all-at-once discard outlet that also can draw a bunch of cards. And I'm also notably including Necrodominance and Necropotence because they can overfill our hands so we can go to our in-step cleanup and discard as well. I'm counting these as well. I think these are great includes for their combo potential, for their discard potential. I think they're just awesome. I think bare minimum you want Necropotence, but if you're looking for a little bit more speed and also more ways to discard while keeping your hand full because we don't have card draw in the command zone, think about Necrodominance. It's a pretty cool, fun card. We've already talked about our win cons. These are all the pieces to our win cons, and we've already as well talked about our finishers being these 3 cards. I am notably I'm notably in this spot right now where if you look at any other TTC brew, I have win line on top of win line on top of win line on top of win line in my list. Where like they're all good cards, but they just everything is this card's a draw engine, a win line, like everything just falls on top of each other. So only have 3 ways to actually win the game outside of combat beats is uncomfortable for me. However, I want to test this out and to see how often this becomes a problem versus something that maybe for this list, I don't need layered wind on top of layered wind. I can just stick to these are my 3 finishers, and I just place either do turbo or I do a slight control game in the mid game with all my interaction. We'll get to in a second to make that happen. So that's how I do it. That's what I do. On to our tutor package. We have talked about most of them. This is a standard tutor package for TTC. Some notable ones that I like to talk to is Step Through. This gets 4 creatures in our list. The main 2 important ones is our finishers of Thassa's Oracle and Laboratory Maniac, but it also can get our Polywog Prodigy, which is a wizard, and it can also get Valley Flood Caller. So it can also get a card draw engine and a instant speed enabler, which I love, and this notably does that. Getting the instant speed enabler is great with for only 2 colorless is great for our Necropotence and Necrodominance lines, whether it's early game, late game, whatever it need be. Just taking it one day at a time, really super simple. We also have Urza Saga to support the we also have Urza Saga to support to get the LED, because like I said, powerful card if we have a creature in hand. If we don't have a creature in hand, or if there's nothing I really want to discard my whole hand for, because it was like turn 4 or 5 and I'm just like, yeah, I could get LED, but I'm like, I'm just casting it, you know what I'm saying? I'm just like, I'm kind of just I'm thinking about the lines as I play them through. I'm like, it's a powerful card if I'm looking to do that, but outside that, it's kind of like we also have a Ranger Captain tutor targets that were already talked about. Moving on to card draw though. This, whether it draws 1 card or draws a bunch of cards, these are the cards we're looking to be at. I'm going to tell you all right now, while we are here, you're going to see live, TTC is going to take out Consecrated Sphynx, because I just can't sell myself on it. It's just going to get removed. Like, even if I could LED into it turn 2, I'm going to eat all the freaking removal. Please, like, no one has said anything. D-Trophy said, yeah, bro, you're on the right path. You're just going to get it removed. So I'm going to take Consecrated Sphynx out. That's not my play style. I don't want to force people to waste interaction. I like people using it for win cons. So the options we have is we have Astral Dragon. Shout out to Holden Proud and also Yavimaya. They're both running this card. DJ Yavimaya is running it, but Holden Proud brought this one up to me. I like it. If you're not familiar with this one, first of all, it's 6 in a blue, 8 mana. I know it's crazy for a 4/4 flying dragon. It says whenever Astral Dragon enters the battlefield, create 2 tokens that are copies of target non-creature permanent, except they're 3/3 dragon creatures in addition to their other types, and they have flying. So you can get that instant speed blockers because you can discard. The Astral Dragon will come in tap. That's a 4/4, but the 2 tokens it creates are the 3/3 dragons. Notably, you do need to have something on board that you want to copy. This can't copy an Esper. It has to be a fish or a Heuristic or Smothering Tide or whatever else. So this is not my first choice, but it is something I'm thinking about. Another one that I'm thinking is notably, I am thinking on if we're taking Clever Impossinator is really cool because it can copy any non-land permanent on the board. This is another DJ Yavimaya tech that I'm like, yeah, this is kind of hot. No Cappington, no cap. It's a hot include. Another include that I'm currently on my sideboard about is, where is it at? Jin-Gataxia's Core Augur is another great one. I'm going to tell y'all a little, this is intimate, so don't tell nobody this just for the stream. I'll take this out later. I had this actually in a dream. Like, I woke up thinking about Jin-Gataxia's Core Augur when I first started brewing this list. If you're not, like, I'm going to be honest. Well, when was it? Holden told me about this deck on a Wednesday. And from Wednesday to today, I've been brewing nothing but this list. I haven't had time to play games, but I've just been brewing and brewing and brewing, just layer upon layer upon layer. And one of the first thoughts I had in my head was Jin-Gataxia's Core Augur, because what it is, it's a 10 mana spell, so it's way more, and it's notably legendary, so I can't do multiple copies. But what I love about it is because if I do that game plan of discarding my hand, not only does it refill the 7 cards up really quick, so if they remove it, it's no problem. Each opponent's maximum hand size gets reduced by 7. So basically, it's a stacks piece, but it also supports the game plan of I dump my hand, and I dump my hand for LED turn 2 if I have the nuts in hand, and then I just put it back in, and then I put it back into, then I refill my hand immediately. So I do like this, and I actually think this is the direction I'd like to go for replacing bomb for bomb. It will get removed. I'm just gonna let you know it will get removed, but I'm okay with that. If I can be fully transparent, I'm okay running a 10 drop that will get removed because it already did its job at the beginning of my end step. As long as I can protect it to my end step, I don't give a fuck that it gets removed. But in the universe that it doesn't get removed, it's like every turn my opponents gets their hand stripped. And the only place, if I can poke a hole in my own strategy, the only place that I can truly see this being a problem is if an opponent's like, I'm about to push for a win, I'm going to let everyone else's get their hand stripped, and then when it gets to my turn, I'm going to win. And then not only, unless TTC has the interaction for me, I'm not going to stop, or what is it saying? I'm going to, like, only TTC can interact now because everyone else's hand is gone. So I can see that being a problem. But I think at that point I would communicate with the board before I would drop it then. Like, if I do an early game, I don't give a fuck. But in late game, I'm like, hey, guys, I have a way to interact with but I'm gonna be honest, I just like, it would strip you all's hand, and I would get the cards to I can get the cards to interact, but then it will put everything on me. So would you all prefer that I strip their hand when we get to their turn, but this would include you all getting stripped? I can like talk it out in the mid to late game. So like, I feel like I can be an intelligent player and not just play it because it's like, oh, it's a stacks piece or whatever. Not so Detroit's, I think Clever Impersonator is a good enough replacement. In all its fails, it is. It's a clone. Like, in all else fails, that or Phyrexian Metamorph. I think Clever Impersonator may be better because in copying any land permanent. We also have copying LED LOL. I mean, copying LED question mark. Maybe. I'm thinking, like, I think within that you can copy anything. You copy a Heuristics set. You can, for 3 mana, you can copy anything, which is not bad. You know what I'm saying? We also have Clever is flexible card that can be another draw engine and isn't too much just a cast. True, very true. We have Rona, Herald of Invasion, is strong looter for a hash deck. Not necessarily this one, but it layers with Knack and Helix alongside with Flood Collar if something wants to build a combo like hash. I agree. If you all are not familiar with this combo, yeah, I agree. Well, I'm gonna go back because I don't want to have to. Boom. Rona, Herald of Invasion. This one combos with Mox Amber, which we already run because our commander is cheap. Plus this, it is honestly, you know what? This is actually that sleeper tech. I'm talking about for the pinnacle of cEDH. I could see this card being leveraged. What do I mean is, like, it's synergistic with the commander. It's card advantage in some capacity. It's a combo enabler where basically how the Rona combo goes. I'll show you all. Rona. I hope I'm not flagged by saying Rona, but it doesn't sound like I'm trying to say the C word. How the combo works is you need this one. Banishing Neck or Retraction Helix plus Mox Amber. It says whenever you cast a legendary spell, untap Rona, Herald of Invasion. Now, this can be done. You target Rona with the Retraction Helix or Banishing Neck. You do the Mox Amber because it's a legendary thing, and each time you'll discard it. You loop through your entire deck, and then you end the loop by being able to have the mana to cast. You need 1 more blue to be able to cast your Thassa's Oracle, or you can do it with we are running Labman. You know what? I'm going to put this in my sideboard because that even layers well with we already running Valley Flood Caller. That's really good. I'm not gonna care. I'm gonna put that to the sideboard. I really like that. Put that into the sideboard, and I already have Retraction Helix in here. I think I'd only do one of the effects, but I'm not against putting Banishing Knack. I'm not against putting Banishing Knack on the sideboard as well. Just like if we go the full package, we might as well have the redundancy. I'm not against that. We also have Knack line. Let's see. Oh yeah, Jin is fun, but will easily set up wins. Yeah, set up win for other players. I mean, not a fan. Yeah, you know what? I hear that. I think this is in the same card as this Fence Grid. I've talked to people about this. I think it was Prater. I had a conversation with this when we were rebrewing my tactical list not too long ago. Whereas like he was saying he wasn't a huge fan of Defense Grid. I was like, it's like because like other players like don't know how to play it. I'm like, well, I'm not other players. I'm TTC. I mean, like through like God's glory, I'm gonna be honest, I've been blessed with a very high IQ for cEDH, and I still make mistakes, but I'm also smart enough to like ask questions. And like I gave the example of like, hey guys, mid to late game, is this something I need to do to strip their hand, their next in turn order, or because their last in turn order after me, or am I just giving them the game and we can have that conversation? And either way, it's a win-win. Either it just becomes a blue spell to pitch to force will or force negation. But I love the early game utility. It's something that's going to get removed early game, but in late game it can be devastating. So I'm gonna rock this. I'm gonna actually put this one here. I'm gonna put this in here. I just trust myself. Something in me is telling me I trust myself. I'm gonna run it. But it is scary, and I'd rather run it over Consecrated Sphynx because Consecrated Sphynx is going to get crate removed. I may draw top 2 cards. If I'm going to run something that's going to get removed, I'd rather draw my full grip at my end step and then each turn draw 7 more cards. And notably, it also does synergize well with Nezahal, which we're already on, because it right here, it synergizes well with Nezahal because it is something that we have no maximum hand size while Nezahal is on board, which is really hot. Let's see. Kitsa Outer Ball would be better than Rona. For neckline, I disagree. Kitsa is amazing on its own right. I think that's currently in the sideboard as well. I agree with D-Trove that it could be great because every time when you're doing the neckline with Valley Floodcaller, you can untap each time you cast that non-creature spell. It will untap Kitsa because it's an otter. Notably, though, I just have to be fully transparent, though. It's not y'all talking to TTC. If I had to choose between Rona and Kitsa, I'm gonna be honest, I would choose Rona personally because I like cards that can combo. Because the first question I ask people all the time is, how does this card get me closer to a win? Granted, Kitsa is something that you need. Kitsa having no summoning sickness plus the Valley Floodcaller line going, you can still loot your deck the same exact way. Plus, Kitsa also has that ability to be able to be like pay 2, copy target instant or sorcery spell you control. You may choose new targets for the copy. Activate only if Kitsa's power is 3 or greater, which is super easy to do when Valley Floodcaller is on board and itself has prowess. So that's not a huge barrier to entry. Notably, I've also been told that you can do like pay a black, cast Demonic Consultation, hold priority Kitsa. The first Demonic Consultation is for going to get Thassa's. The next one is to empty your library. You cast Thassa. That's all together is 2 blue, 2 colors, and 1 black. 5 mana to do a line, and you just need to have Kitsa to have no summoning sickness and to have that power necessary. So you can start off maybe casting a bullshit rocket first. That's a cool line. I will say on the flip side, I do love the Rona's ability to discard, and now you have 2 cards that work with that can combo by themselves with a Mana Rock plus the notably the Retraction, Helix, or Banishing Neck. Kind of talking myself into one to run or both of these later on. I don't love the summoning sickness. I'm just gonna be honest. I'm not in love with the summoning sickness. That's why I'm not running either. That's why they're both in the sideboard. But y'all are making me think. You're making me think. Let's see. We got Dietrich saying, well, I guess it only matters with what artifacts you're looping. Yeah, at that point. Noble saying, and I love the Ice Rev line with Kitsa. Yeah. Yes, because as long as it doesn't have summoning sickness, that one and Rona, they just, oh, no, you're talking about when you use Kitsa as the Isochron Scepter instead of the dramatic, instead of using Isochron Scepter. What's up, Aaron? How you doing? Thank you for the follow. So check this out. Yeah, if you all are not familiar, how this line works is if you're not familiar, Isocept. How this works is there's a card Isochron Scepter. And you put this one with a card called Dramatic Reversal. And if you imprint Dramatic Reversal onto Isochron Scepter, you can untap and tap all your non-land permanents infinitely to make infinite mana. If you do that with Kitsa instead, what you can do is you can infinitely tap and untap everything. Notably, you can't loop during it unless you have like or you can't copy this because it's legendary. But basically, you can do the same thing as long as your power is 3 or greater. You can loop and do the Dramatic Reversal plus Kitsa to get the same, untap all your non-land permanents, and it notably gets around Dranith Magistrate because Isochron cast from exile. This just copies. And it gets around Heuristics Study too. It just has Summoning Sickness. So I'm not a huge fan for Summoning Sickness because I don't like having something on board that is a combo piece and people know about it and they're able to just chat. They're like, oh, TTC's getting ready to do this. And I'm just like, bro, I just cast it because I want to loot, bro. Like, you're overthinking this. It's a similar situation to why I'm not running Bog Witch, notably, or even a very like powerful card for this list would be Divining Witch. It combos with both Thassa's Oracle and Lab Man, but it mostly combos with Lab Man because you can pay a colorless and a black, tap it, discard a card from your hand being Lab Man in your upkeep, and then you name a bullshit card, exile your library, and then with the discard you can use your command to bring it back. And so that's a cool line you can do, but it's unless you're running like Haste Enablers or like Hazel Brewmasters or like Agatha Soul Cauldron or stuff like that where you can get around the Summoning Sickness, I'm not running in those effects, so I decided not to run it. But it's good, it's objectively, and that's my mind hold up with any of the like the Ronas or the Kitsas. The Summoning Sickness, I don't love waiting one turn to get my one discard or my one loot. Not bad, just not in love with it. We notably also have doesn't have to be legendary. Oh no, it just says historic. No, Rona says legendary spells untap, not historic. It says so. Why is Rona better if you still need Helix and Flood Caller? No. So, Detrov, you don't need Helix and Flood Caller. You only need Helix and Amber. Let's see. We got Kitsa allows us to copy an instant on the stack. It does. It is good. Let's see. You don't have to have the flood color. Noble's saying you don't have the flood color. It's just the knack line up with both really well. Kitsa is nice. She is strong. Yeah, both are super strong. You gotta just cost. I think if you're running the combo and you want to lean more on the combo, do this. We're not ever gonna run Dramatic Reversal on this list specifically because we don't have an infinite mana outlet in the command zone. So like, Kitsa gets the bonus because it's synergy. You could do the same thing, but you need Valley Flood Caller. Notably, we are running the Wizard Cycling spell as well, and this can be found by that as well. So another bolt, but is this a wizard as well? This is a wizard as well. Come on. Tell me something. All right. Let's see. Could have sworn it said historic. No, it's all good. Let's see. Lauren says legendary. Yep. Aaron glows. Hello, I arrived to watch my friends fight each other with card games. You very soon. We're about to get into the deck tech very soon. D-Trope says Rona plus Mox Amber and Knock is cool and sick, but Kitsa is more flexible overall. I agree. Yeah, because of the extra activated ability. Is this activated ability from Rona worth it? 5 and pay 5 and 1 Phyrexian. You get a backside that says you get a 5/5 trample whenever a source deals damage to Rona. The source controller exile the card from their hand at random. If it's a land card, you may put that to battle under your control. Otherwise, you may cast it without paying the mana cost. The ceiling is you get to strip their hands, guaranteed. The floor it's random. Nah, I do hear D-Trove on the more flexibility. And it's still technically with Valley Flood Caller, it's still technically combos off either way. We also have people are playing Dramatic Reversal as a ritual effect now. That is true. They are. Yeah, I do, especially in I can see that in Timna Thrasios, where you already have a bunch of mana dorks and rocks. I definitely hear that. We have Raider the Great saying, hello, my name is Raider the Greatest because I am the greatest. What's up, Raider? How are you doing? Radar. We got Disco Quill. I also arrived to watch my friends fight with cardboard. Well, we will be starting the gameplay section very soon. Stay tuned. We got oh, it's mostly just rock side. That's interesting. I guess they do run enough rocks. I'm thinking Tim the Thrash because all the mana dorks, but I guess they do run enough rocks where, like, I thought they were running a lot of rituals as well. They do both, but I guess you could see Dramatic Reversal as a ritual. After you storm off and stuff and you're getting ready to do your Necro or Necrodom, it's similar to Chain of Vapor where you untap all your rocks by recasting them, but now you use Dramatic Reversal to float a bunch of mana, Dramatic Reversal, untap everything. That does make sense. That's fair. Nitro says, welcome new people. What's up? We got Detro says, I think it's pretty cool though. Say Noble says, could always end up turn on opponent's turn. Could always end of turn on. Could always end of turn on opponent's turn before yours. True. I'm guessing you mean that with. I guess you mean that with the Valley Flood Caller one with the instant speed enabler, because you need the instant speed to do the Amber. We have Nitro saying, hey T, hey chat. What's up, Nitro? How you doing, brother? We have for combo activation, screw it, Wizard Tribal in a zombie deck. Hey, come on. We also have Aaron Glow saying, I'm a sucker for Cardite. The Rona card, dude, bro. Me too, bro. Look at this shit, bro. I love this shit. I ain't go cap, bro. No cap, man. I really fuck with like this art. Actually, I'm so used to the regular. What's all the like side note, y'all? What? Yeah, no, that's the best one. There's no like regular full art one. That is a cool one. I'm not gonna cap. It's the backside of Robin isn't good, bruh. Get over it, bro. What? That's kind of fire. Okay, hold on, bro. D, you tripping, bro? That's fire, bro. I'm saying if the card, I feel like, you know what? I feel like it's the cEDH player in you, bro, or it is both of us. If the back was actually good as a card mechanic, the back art would look more flavorful and more powerful. You know what I'm saying? Like if this shit said Underworld Breach on the back, steal an Underworld Breach from the Tim the Crown player across from you, and you get Thassa's Oracle as well in LED, this will be like, we said this is the coolest art in the back ever. Well, neither here nor there, neither. I digress. Funny. So we have no, that's good. Yeah, with that being said, to get to the main point of why we went back to the sideboard is for our card draw package. TTC is not okay with Consecrated Sphynx. I know the bombs, if I'm going to discard my hand with the LED, which I don't see that happening every game, but if I'm going to do that in the game, I think Clever Impersonator is a good flex slot. What I'm not in love with it about is the fact that you do need at a point to have something that's worthwhile. Notably, that is usually very common in cEDH with when you're playing against skilled players, they have something that's worth copying on board. For me, I think I'd rather have my own target and over time see whether I want to do that. That is notably also why I don't run, and this is just a fun fact about TTC, I don't run Steel Enchantment in any of my lists because the skill level I play against as well as the deck quality I play against is varying. So for me, I don't like Steel Enchantment can be a dead card in my lower power like cEDH pods where like we're figuring things out and they're still brewing, versus like when we're playing like TDH or I'm playing against like cEDH at a TDH level where people are playing the best cards, there's no experiments and they just play what knows what works. Steel Enchantment is great, but in the average game, it just over time I find that it's better just to add another draw engine myself than to wait for my opponents to play something that I won, and then it's like it's never a dead card, especially with Clever Impersonator, because it copies any non-land permanent. You can always just copy a rock, but in a deck where it needs card draw, when we brought that up, D, I think for this one specifically, I think I'm gonna go. What's it called? I'm gonna definitely go my guy Jin. I'm gonna go Jin. I'm gonna let the father lead me in this decision, and I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna believe tonight that it shows up and that it's an awesome card. All right. Let's see. Card draw package, though, we've talked about all this, is a really cool thing. Necrodominance, we've talked about all these cards. So very quickly, as we continue to move and interaction, I do count Cephalid Coliseum. We see you, Thassa's Oracle players. I will draw you out with my Cephalid Coliseum, as well as discard my own win, kind of be able to win on top of the stack. We have all our split second spells. Notably, fun fact also about TTC, I have not played Deadly Rollick and Fierce Guardianship in maybe about a year. And I say that because I play such expensive commanders. Well, no, I played Fierce when in early Marnias, and when I was playing Saya, I played Fierce and Deflecting SWAT. But I haven't played Deadly Rollick in a while because I haven't, like, I brewed a Nashi list when Duskmorn came out, the new set, but it was like, I did immediately afterwards, the ban happened on Crypts and all that stuff, and it kind of shredded the list into oblivion. So the thing at the end of the day that I see with this is that Deadly Rollick and Fierce Guardian should be able to be turned on with such a cheap commander. I love it. I miss this so much. I really do. I love Marnius. I love my Braille list. I love Scion, but not being able to run these just hurt. And I love that I get to run them again. So awesome. Disco Quill, thank you for the follow. Thank you for the follow. Notably, I also will add, with the re-inclusion of Fierce Guardianship in this list, I'm looking second thoughts at Force Negation, thinking out loud right now, because I still want to be able to add in a Subtlety or a Strix Seranade effect to my list to be able to support whatever strategy I'm doing in. Seeing out our commander's 2 mana, it takes nothing to say I'm going to cast this 2 mana to get access to a 3 and a 4 mana spell. So I'm going to allow it to happen. My gut is saying to go ahead and make that switch right now, because this one, like, I could honestly, you know what? I could do pitch spell for pitch spell. You know what? Like, I could do that. Truthfully, I could do that and not feel bad about it. Because I'm telling y'all, you need at least one of these creature-focused counter spells, and it has to be in addition to Pact and Force and Negation and all the like the Singing the Super. You need like creature decks are just ruling. I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to add in Subtlety. I know y'all are gonna love me saying that. I'm gonna add in Subtlety to the main board. I love Strix, but my blue card count is enough where I can be confident that I can pitch this. I'm gonna add in Subtlety, and then I will take out Force of Negation, because I have Fierce Guardianship, and I usually Force of Negation is a non-negotiable. But there are times, especially since I'm playing Necro and I'm not on Final Fortune, and like I'm running instant speed lines, but that Fierce Guardianship being online is like a whole different thing now. Like I get it. Like I haven't experienced this in a while. So y'all, you can see my excitement on my faces because I'm really fucking excited to play with Fierce Guardianship again. It's such a powerful card. I fucking love this card so much. I just never get to play it. Fuck. So we'll add this to the we'll do that right now, if y'all don't mind sitting here with me. We're gonna add in Subtlety to the change tax. This is removal and interaction, and notably this can be used if we cast our Thassa's Oracle. Someone casts a Mind Break Trap, this can protect our own spells, so you can use this to bounce your own spell off the stack if you don't want your Thassa's Oracle or Lab Man or Pray, or those, at least the Lab Man and Thassa's Oracle, if you don't want them to get exiled, you can like just bounce it off the stack with a Subtlety and then try again later. And you can like say they cast something to make you draw. In response to the draw effect, to say, okay, I'm going to Subtlety my own Thassa's Oracle, and then they either have to pay the Heuristic or they don't have mana to pay it. You draw it back again, and then you try again right there on the stack. So just an awesome like line that you can do with Subtlety if you just get creative. And so removal and interaction, very standard. Looking forward to seeing Extirpate in game. Of course, we want both Otawara and Sink at the Stupor. Having that blue card count up, and as well as a channel ability, is super powerful for our colors. Step Through is another one. I count it as interaction. Do I see myself paying 5 mana to bounce 2 target creatures to their owner's hands? No. No, but it's an option. It is an option because I'm found that Step Through has become a non-negotiable for this list. I told you the 4 big ones, and possibly 5 if we add Kitsa, Rona to the list, but being able to get Thassa's, Lapman, Polywalk Prodigy, and as well the Valley Flood Caller, it makes it feel always amazing. It always feels amazing. I kid you not. It's never a dead card, because if I don't have a way to win, I can just go get Polywalk. And if I'm sitting on a bunch of mana with nothing else to do, but I'm afraid at instant or sorcery speed with Born or Valley Flood Caller active, I can cast this at instant speed. It's something I could do. So am I here to sell you on Step Through? No. Do I think in this specific list is powerful enough? Yeah, that's just me. We've already talked about adding Subtlety. We are on Swan Swords and Trickbind. I'm really loving to have a new ceiling for Trickbind because I love running Trickbind. It's just sometimes 2 mana interaction is just too steep. So it is what it is. When it comes to board player and spell protection, I do feel like I always got to re-explain this. This is our recovery spells. These are our ways to protect ourselves, which are our counter spells. And this is also ways for us to protect ourselves in more unique ways. I usually put the One Ring in this category as well, because on cast, if it lands, you can give yourself protection. So there, like, we talk a lot about interacting, but it's mostly thought about the perspective of stopping our opponents. But how do we protect ourselves? So I love always to make that category of like, these are the spells I use to protect myself. So really, really cool. I love this. Notably, our graveyard recursion is Jolted Awake and Sphinx Reclamation. I do want to add Reanimate back because we have bombs, but we don't have a huge amount of bombs. We have cool things we can do, but like I said, outside of our bombs and Leveler, Sphinx Reclamation and Jolted Awake both get the job done in recurring any non-land permanents we need to in this list. And until we come more of a big flips deck where we are looking to do things like Kinnan does, I don't think we have to prioritize Reanimate, especially because we're on both Necrodominance, Necroponents, and least recently added Limdol's Vault. Not bad cards, just things to keep in mind. Notably, side note, you all didn't see this, but I was running LED is an important card. It's a little less important for my list specifically, like, because I'm just not all about the commander, but it's a thing. I took Transmute Artifact out for Limdol's Vault. But notably, I can see myself, maybe not this game, but tonight, but in the future, I can see myself taking Limdol's Vault out for either Rona or Kitsa, because I've heard really great discussions. Notably, shout out to Noble Team 6 and to D-Trove. You all had a really great constructive conversation about talking about the benefits and the drawbacks of running both of those. And I was thinking about, well, what slot would I switch out? I think that will be my swap out. It's card draw, so it's never technically a deck card, and having that combo potential is also phenomenal as well. I would just need to also find a slot for Retraction, Helix, or Banishing next. So yeah. As we keep moving forward though, we move from our protection category and from our recursion to, notably, I want to talk once again on my sounds effects. I usually run 4 to 5 effects, lean always towards the 5, but since this list has new ways to win unprotected, leveraging the split second cards, I went down to 3, running the main 3 in my opinion: Grand Abolisher, Ranger Captain of Eos, and Silence. And then I'm running 3 split seconds cards, leveraging that rule of 3. That's why I kind of wanted that third Reanimate effect, just to have but the Commander's Reanimate effect in a way, they're like, oh, discard, bring back effect. So I'm okay for it now, but I really want my third Reanimation effect. But notably, it's Angel's Grace, Extirpate, and Trickbind. These are my favorite 3 of all the split second spells. Next, we have our Stax Tax package. Don't be overwhelmed by this beautiful Stax Tax package of Bowmaster is the only true Stax piece, but how I play, I personally see Heuristics Study and Esper as Stax pieces. This is me. I tell people, don't, unless you're trying to combo off, don't waste your mana trying to remove the Heuristics Study. I've said this to people, just play around it, play slow. You don't have to push a win right now. Or like, it's a thing where that's where it becomes out of hand, when people push wins through it. So Mystic is the tough one, because if they get it down in the mid to late game, it's gonna pretty much stay pretty as long as they want it, because they've already established their mana base. But turn 1 at Mystic, if you talk to the table, I don't love saying fish pack, because there's no thought behind a fish pack. Everyone just says, I'm not gonna pay for the fish, but they don't even look at their hand like, well, if you don't pay for the fish, you know he was gonna go land Chromax to hold up Fierce Guardianship. What if Roxai says, fuck your fish pack, I'm gonna win, and now you can't hold up your Fierce Guardianship because you were so amped on, I'm not gonna feed the fish. I tell people, what I say to people is, I'm not gonna do a fish pack, but I'm not gonna overfeed the fish. What I would say is, what I recommend we do is look at your hand, take a sec to think, and see, can I wait to cast my non-creature spells and still hold up interaction? Or do I need to cast 1, maybe 2 non-creature spells, of course, to progress my board state to hold up interaction? Because that's the point. I brought this up earlier. You want to be able to balance playing to win and playing to interact. Those together, mastering both those skills, is where true mastery in the format comes from. Knowing when I'm taking this game action just to interact, it may not get me closer to win, but it keeps me from moving farther from the win, because like my opponent, like they already have a Heuristics Study, Esper, and now they're about to drop a Mystic as well. I'm gonna mental misstep this, because that kind of card draw is kind of ridiculous. Or are they about to drop a Smothering Tide on top of all the draw hinges? Countering that doesn't get you closer to win, but it keeps you from widening the gap or moving far away. So navigate that playing to interact with playing to win. Those skill sets, you have to know when to switch. And it's not this turn I do it, then that turn it's like on a hair. Every time something is said, every time something's put in the stack, you're pivoting from I'm playing to interact, I'm playing to win, playing to interact, I'm playing to win. You're swifting between on the pivot. You're always pivoting. Okay, at this moment, I have a window to win. Oh shit, heard this person say this. This may not be the best window. I have a board in hand. I can wait later to win. It's like all this pivoting. And yes, if y'all wonder why TTC stops talking for so long time, because I'm thinking about, is this a play to interact moment? Is this a play to win moment? And mastering that mindset is where TTC's win rate comes from. I just know when to switch between between those. Mystic versus Heuristics is an interesting balance. I would rather feed the fish once or twice than continuously feed a study as well. We have Noble saying that. I think that, like I said earlier, I think it's a little bit more than that. I've had conversations with people where like Heuristics is such a scary spell, and I get it. It's such a scary spell, but there's a point in the game where everyone can pay the Heuristics study tax. I'm like, I'd rather just keep the removal spell, or I'd rather just keep the counter spell, and I'll let the Heuristics study resolve in it. And I would rather spend my words spending time say, hey, you have 8 mana, dude. Pay your Heuristics study. Are you winning this turn? You don't need the mana then. Pay your Heuristics study, keep it pushing. When you're ready to push, feed that Heuristics study and win the fucking game. But I please land your silence effect, or you better be able to win through a Heuristics study. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I don't think it's like, I think that we have to let go of the heuristic of this is scarier than that, or this is better than that. I think it's always an active decision of, I look at my hand, I look at what I'm working with, I look at the pot, I look at all the variables available to me, and then I make a decision like, is this a pot where it's okay for me to feed the Mystic a few times and not feel punished about it? Or is this a pot where I just let the Heuristics study resolve because there's already a Heuristic and a fish on board? Me stopping this one person from drawing cards isn't in my favor because I'm already the only player without a draw engine. So it's, some of this is experience gain, some of it is more you just gotta just go with your gut on some things, but everyone plays differently. I support and love how everyone plays. I do believe though, as we continue to mature and learn as cEDH players, we got to learn that we can't just say card is scary, I act, because that means people can control us because they can play certain things to force interaction out of your hands and then follow that up. The more you think, the less predictable you become, because people know he's an intelligent player. I can't goad him to waste his counter magic because I've done it before and he learned from it in the past. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah. Past the stacks portion though, and past TTC's how to play to interact versus how to play to win lecture. There you go. We have our graveyard hate, and it's just extirpate. Nothing else is really fancy, but I love it. I usually like at least having one graveyard hate card. This being able to just hit a brain freeze and there's no opportunity for them to interact, or hit an LED and there's no opportunity for them to interact. I think brain freeze would be the best target because Lotus Petal can be used with brain freeze combo as well. So I love it with this thing. So like, I'm already thinking in my head like, yo, let them resolve the Grand Abolisher, start their reach line. The minute that brain freeze hits the graveyard, I go Odawara on their ass, and then just let them exile as many, let them mill as many cards. I'm gonna hit them with that I'm gonna hit them with that young what's it called, with that extirpate, and they ain't gonna be ready for it. Like that just seems fun in my head. But that is our stacks and graveyard hate package. Next up, we do have ramp. It is a standard Esper Good Stuff ramp package. No major notable cards here. Once again, same as Fierce Guardianship, and with our, what is our black commander spell? I just haven't run it, like Deadly Rollick. I love that I'm able to run Mox Amber because I'm running the cheap commander, and we've already talked about this. I really want to add Springleaf Drum, but I'm playing around with our filter rocks, if I can find them. Oh, they're next. Sorry, I'm playing around with the mana filters, running 2. I should probably be running 1, but I'm allowing experience to teach me that lesson, so we will see. All right. That is our ramp package, and that is our mana filters. Last is our land base. Only notable talks are Sevla Coliseum being a discard outlet. City of Traders, I know our commander doesn't cost any colors, but the 2 colors in the triggered ability, as well as the high CMC for like to be able to do our full combos in a protected way. City of Traders really helps us develop early game, like Heuristics study or whatever not, and in late game just allows us to do full combos protected and not have to settle on our interactive packages. Next, we do have, yeah, that's pretty much it. We've already talked about Sync. We talked about Urz's. Our last categories are our 2 instant speed enablers and our 1 copy effect with being Mockingbird. Notably, as we talked about earlier, I am still thinking on Clef and Impersonator, and it's something that I really think long and hard on. Going back to that though, we do have Noble saying I would do Strix. I suppose Subtlety is acceptable. Yeah, like I said, like this is one I'm be honest. I got to shout out to my homie Busy Baxton. We will never agree on this, and I'm fine with it. I want y'all to ask D-Trove because this was the best games, but it just like because I haven't played Marnie since like I don't think since I played this game with D-Trove, but I put Subtlety in my list because I just want to try it because my gut was saying to me, I really think Subtlety can work. And I just want y'all to just ask D-Trove how those 2 games went. Not only did I win both, but Subtlety came in both games, and it was devastating both times. First game, it stopped the Tymna coming down, which doesn't sound like a big deal because it's their commander. But basically what ended up happening was everyone's draw engine got blew up. Like my Heuristics study got blown up. Someone else's like it was just all the draw engines were getting blown up, and then the Tymna Crom player was like, or it's Tymna Thrasios, I think. Yeah, the Tymna Thrasios player was like, all right, well I'm just gonna cast Tymna. I'm like, ding, 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 ding. Think for a second. Play to interact versus play to win. I know I could save this Subtlety for myself for some unique line, but I'm like, there's no draw engines aboard, and they're tasking a Tymna. That means they're going to be able to draw anywhere from 1 to 3 cards per turn. They're going to drown us out of advantage. I need to play to interact right now. I'm going to Subtlety, and I ended up hard casting that because I had my mana up. I didn't care. I hard casted Subtlety, use it as an attacker to put pressure on the player's life, but they end up saying I'm just going to put it back in the command zone because I'm like, I'm not playing like I don't want to draw a Tim the next turn. Like I have a terrible hand right now. They had 6 cards in hand, but it was a terrible hand. So I was like, I'm just put it back in the command zone. I'll try again later. And the second game, I end up hitting a Thassa's Oracle. They were prepared for everything. I'm talking about they were prepared for a non-creature spell. They were prepared for everything. But that Subtlety just coming in and just saying, try again next turn. And then me winning on the turn before they got another chance was phenomenal because I was able to hold my Subtlety and be like, all right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And a player wasted their RE blast because I didn't have to reveal. Like I just said, I don't have any way to stop this demonic constellation. Like I don't have a way to stop the decon. And so they used red elemental blast on Thassa's. Of course, it stopped them. And so I was able to Subtlety to Thassa's and then follow that up by pushing my own Thassa's when that luckily got through because I had 2 or 3 counter spells left in my hand. But Subtlety is just it's the counter spell that just keeps on giving. We have Mystic versus Heuristics is an interesting balance. I would rather feed a fish once or twice than continuously feed a study as well. We already talked about that. Yeah, late game fish is more dangerous than late game Heuristic too. That's true. And see, like that exact thing, Noble, that's more what I'm talking about. It's not a heuristic. It's like we can't say, or in my opinion, I don't think we grow as cEDH players by saying this is scarier than this or this is just better than this. Every game board state, it just changes. Like Esper Sentinel sucks in a 3 creature pod and you're the one like Spellslinger deck. I've been in those situations where I'm sitting there with a turn 1 I'm sitting there with a turn 1 line tutor and I have to choose between a turn 2 Esper Fish or a turn 3 Heristic, and I'll hold that in line tutor until turn 2 to do a turn 3 Heristic because it's all 3 creature pods. They're like 3 other creature decks. They're not going to cast non-creature spells. So in that situation, Mystic and Esper suck, and I have to go with the Heristic line. It may still get blown up. It may still get removed. It may still get stopped, but I know in that time it's better for me to wait, get the draw engine that I actually know is going to trigger. But on the flip side, in that same pod, if I'm like in a rock side pod, oh fuck yes, 2 mana up, I'm gonna drop that Esper or I'm gonna drop that fish depending on how I plan on developing on turn 3+, and I'm just gonna I'm gonna sit there. Oh, please feed me, Rog. Oh, I dare you. Please feed me. You don't know how much interaction I run. Ooh, I dare you. And so these are the types of things that I say, like, I encourage people, and I even encourage you, Noble, like, don't speak too much of the absolutes. There's so much flexibility in like a growing game and a live game that we don't have to say this is better than that or this is good and that's bad. We can just objectively say, in this situation, in this game that I played or in this game that we're about to play, this is what is better this is the better part to interact, because when we go closed mind and we just go into heuristics, we're just flipping a coin to see if we were right, versus we actually make the decision. We make it more of an educated guess, which is a hypothesis. And we're also, well, I'm an engineer. If y'all don't know, I went to school for mechanical engineering, so this may be where my mindset came from. I went to school for STEM, so I was always encouraged to push things in really like unique ways, and don't just be fed information. Like, you have to think critically to be a successful engineer. But that's just my life. We got flying Ray. Oh, what's up, Ray? I ain't seen you in a second. What up, TTC? He said, how's it going, TTC? I'm doing phenomenal. It's great to see you, Ray. D-Trove said, don't remember, didn't happen. D-Trove, remember when I whipped them tail with them subtleties, bro. We have Noble. They said the points you made about bouncing Thoracle and shooting the shot again after the tried force will was enough to convince me about subtlety being arguably better option. It's the creativity. You know what I'm saying? I think I'll say this, if my deck had a percentage of like 25, I wouldn't add it, because I don't think I'd have a high enough blue spell count. But I just like subtlety. I could be wrong. I may play this game and I may not have a blue card in hand. TDC could be wrong. I think in this deck specifically for my brew, I think subtlety is the correct answer. So that's what I'll say about this. We're about to do some playtest hands, but before we do the playtest hands, I want to just slowly go through the sideboard. We've talked about so many cards in this list, and I just want to give you all the opportunity to kind of see where TTC's mind at. Everything's up for debate. Everything is willing to be pushed back on, because there's a lot of things. Like, a huge one is Frantic Search. This one just seems like an auto include in this list, because you discard the creature card, and you give the 3 lands to untap it. I do think because I'm sitting more between a mid-range and a Turbolist, this is more definitely of a mid-range card, because you want the 3 lands. There are some games that I'm winning Turbo. It's more of like a 3 out of 10 that I'm winning Turbo, but I'm thinking about it. Notably, it does leverage lands that I did. Like, sometimes I won't have the 3rd land to make use of it, or I don't want it to completely tap out in that aspect. So it's a hit or miss. I do think this is super powerful. I want to add it. I'm just thinking about it. Grim is another one because of the amount of mana you need to pull off some of the combos. This is a funny, cool one that I saw DJ Yavi Maya on Metamorphosis Fanatic. It says when it enters, return up to 1 target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with lifelink, and it has Miracle. So if it's the first card you draw in a turn, you can pay and cast it, and it breaks timing restrictions, and you pay that colorless and black to cast it, and so you can bring back any of the creatures or cards you've discarded as long as it's a creature card. Thinking about, like I said, all these Notion of Thieves, Muddle, not really like this list. I'm thinking I'm going to make it a little bit more greedy, so I don't think I need to have Opposition Agent in this list. I'm still running Bowmaster, so I have a little bit of stacks. We've talked about the Ronas and the Reanimates and the Scourge and the, like I said, Smother Type. Love it. The commander needs card draw, though. We've talked about that, and I've got my 3 Talismans. I love my Talismans, but not really for this list right now. Saw DJ Yavi my own Talon Gates, and I do see this list possibly crumbling to stacks, but I do believe Talon Gates is one way to navigate that. I will also say that though I love the fact that Talon Gates can navigate stacks, I'm not in love with the colorless pip. Even though it can make colored, it's just a little tough. I do love it as instant speed interaction as well. So I do think our Sink into Stupor and Odawara should be able to handle this category, though. We just may have to wait a little bit longer. Instead of just playing a land, we just go in-step, bounce the Dranither, bounce the Oppo, and then, do the thing we got to do. This takes a little bit longer setup, but I do love, I love this idea for the inclusion. To Faerie Kitten, I'm thinking about that. The One Ring, I'm thinking about it. You probably saw me scroll quickly past it, but Phyrexian Devourer and notably also Thought Lash, I'm thinking about possibly adding them. They're just things that came up in the conversation when me and Holden were first talking. Not anything but that we feel strong about, but just things we talked about, threw against the wall. I haven't added them because I think there's better options, and I know it's crazy to say the Leveler is a better option, but in this case it is, being a creature that you don't have to activate an ability like with Phyrexian Devourer. If you're not familiar, you can hold priority and exile the top card of the library, and because this is not a when Phyrexian Devourer power 7 or greater, sacrifice it. This is a triggered ability. This will go on the stack. You can respond to it by exiling your entire library, and then this is actually, I got this tech from Shalai and Halar. If you all are not familiar, I brewed a Shalai and Halar list way before I got on YouTube. but it combos with Phyrexian Devourer because, you know, you do the ping, and as long as you make your deck to have like a overall CMC large enough, you like run the large NBFC lands and all these other things to keep your deck CMC high, you can win with Phyrexian Devourer and Shalai and Halar. So I loved running this deck in that list because I did. And yeah, but that's it. Springleaf Drum, Strix, like these are all cards I'm really seriously thinking about. And at this point, the only way we really know if they work or not is with play testing and getting in games, you know. So also Void Winterward, I've seen other pilots running it and I'm just thinking about it. But with that being said, we got to do some playtest hands. But before we get into playtest hands, if you're looking for ways to support the show, we have a plethora. Starting off with our TC community. It is free to join and it is free to communicate and join, talk with me, other amazing brewers and game players. We have, honestly, such an amazing growing community. Honestly, like one lovely thing that I found that like was a pleasure, just a fun moment this last week that happened is when Holden first released his finding about Split Second into Twitter, people started to talk about it. I just got so excited to say like, hey, I've grown a community large enough now where I have these top players and they're like, hey y'all, if you want to talk to the original brewer, talk, here he is. And I just add him and they just got to talking, exchanging some things. Holden was like, oh, I'm just kind of just figuring things out. But then some things when it came like the rulings and like breaking down a Split Second, he was like, no, I'm very confident. Here's the rulings. Here's how it works. And it was just really fun to just see that like healthy discussion go on and from a community that I facilitated. And so like, I love that. That was just like a high for this week. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy. I'm proud of myself. That's awesome. But if you want to be able to give more and get more perks like free proxies and discount codes, shouts on the YouTube videos and our streams and all the other things that come with the TC Legion, this is the Thunder Legion. I want you to check that out. It's our Patreon community. I honestly, there's so much more to come with that. So many amazing perks that are just in the works. But we also have 5 amazing tiers for all that. So please check that out. I want to give a huge shout out to our Mono Red patrons, Wavy Ashira, Missy Baxton, The Praetor, B-Rad, and Sir Trekkie. These guys rock, and it keeps the lights on the way that they could not imagine. And I just want to say thank you again to them for their monthly patrons because they honestly allow me to do what I do. You know what I'm saying? We have a goal that will be releasing soon for this list so we can take the content and everything to a new level. But stay tuned. That's all coming soon. But before we get to that goal, if you're looking to say, hey, T, I don't want the Patreon, the proxies, the perks, I just want to say one time for the fun time, I love what you do and I want to support you. Don't worry. Check the link out in the bio. You can buy me a coffee. It keeps me up and keeps the lights on. But with that said, let's get into these playtest hands. You know, I'm just going to go ahead and roll a D8 to be for turn. So 1, 2 is turn seat 1 and all the other stuff. Yada, 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 yada. I will say with this D8, I'm going to roll it. I got a 2, so I'm going first. What I will do is give a pod as well. Let's say for this pod, we're going first. Let's say the Jolly Balloon Man is going second. We'll say third is Tim the Crom, and going fourth is, let's get a turbo deck in there, Rogsai. Okay, so we're going to deal our first hand. First hand is no lands, easy throwaway. I like seeing what I see, but it's just no lands, so we can't really do anything. If he had 2 lands, even if we had 2 lands to go Putrid Imp into Commander to hold up Deadly Rollick and also discard things when we get our 3rd land drop, we also just don't have a creature to get into it and no ramp to push out the Besiege. So let's go see a second 7. We have second 7. We have the Ancient Tomb and Mox Opal, but no way to turn it on. Notably, if we did have the 2nd land drop, we could push out the Enlightened Tutor into Ancient Tomb turn 2 to that some real spicy, but unfortunately we have no colored sources. So this is where the mana filters come in. Notably, if this was a mana filter, we could just go turn 1 Ancient Tomb, cast it, turn 2 Polywog, and push like that, but not this time. Let's go check out a 6. We have land, Lotus, land, Extirpate, Tainted Pack of Bowmasters, Trick Bind. We're going first. So I'm gonna let y'all know right now, I'm gonna go a little bit deeper because I think we could do better. You know, what I see right now is a turn 1 Tainted Pact into a game plan. I am not in love with OBM being the game plan of controlling the board. I love Extirpate being like that early interaction, but notably we're going first seat, so we can get greedy with our keeps. So even though this is a fine keep, we can literally go turn 1 Tainted Pact with the land Lotus Petal into turn 2 Advantage Engine with like Esper or Fish or whatever not, or Polywog or anything. Maybe not Polywog, maybe like Archivist or whatever not. I think we can go deeper and let's go check out a 5. Or are we on 5? Yeah, we're on 5 now. Here's 5. We have land, Arcane, Savines, Extubate, Deadly Rollick. Awesome interaction. No game plan, no tutors, no draw engines or anything. So we're going to go down to a 4. Greedy keeps, baby. All right. We have a 4. We have land, Mox Diamond, Low Spell, Soul Ring, Felwar Stone, Extubate, Thassa's Oracle. So we're at a 4 now. This is where I usually say, all right, I've gone deep enough. I am not going to sit here and just blow out my potential to do anything substantial. So we have 2 options. We're going first still. So we can say I'm not going to keep interaction, including Extirpate, and Thassa's Oracle is a dead card early game. Even if we did, like, we could say, oh, maybe we can luck into a Tainted Pack or luck into a Consultation for a turn 2 win. But I'm going to work off what I have in hand. I'll actually play test this one very quickly. What I would do is I see land, Soul Ring, Felwar, and I can even do Lotus Petal to get a turn 1 Hashaton out, and then starting turn 2, if we top deck something, we can hope to get into it, but we have a lot of mana we have 4 mana to work with on turn 2. Another option would be to keep the Extirpate if we want to have interaction, because we do have a Roxai in the pot, and that doesn't hurt. We also got a Jolly Blue Man C2 and a Tim the Crom. You know what? I think let's keep all mana. The interaction and the win kind of hand can be cool. They're cool gambles. I'll get rid of the Mox as well. They're cool gambles. However, I'm just gonna go straight mana, because if I draw a bomb, that will or if I draw anything substantial to get me towards a game plan that's card draw or a bomb or something that can get me towards something. So we'll draw first. I see a land, no biggie. We're gonna go for this. Boom, boom. Play the Soul Ring. Boom. Play the Felwar Stone. Boom. Just boom and crack the Lotus Petal. Just push out the Hashaton, and we'll pass turn 2. Oh! That's pretty fucking good. That's pretty fucking good. Okay, and because we got the Hashaton out early, we can do this. We will play the UC. We'll tap bop, bop, bop. We will push out. And just so you all know, to be fair, I usually flip a coin to see if the Felwar Stone is online, but we're gonna say Miracle Land right now. I've seen a lot of other decks actually not running Felwar Stone. They're running the blue-black Talisman, which is fair because that's your main colors. I like Felwar Stone because it can hit all 3 colors. But we'll say the Felwar Stone. We got both. We got Roxai in the pod. We got Tim the Crown. We're gonna say it's online. We'll say Necrodominance. We cast that. It's hit or miss. If they got it, they got it. If they don't, they don't. It does not matter. We're gonna play this turn 2 Necrodominance with 0 cards in hand, and we have a high enough life total where we could set up for a turn 3 win. So this is the point where I could be like, you know what? If I'm trying to set up for the turn 3 win, I can like go 10 cards and hope to hit either. This is where my mind goes, like tree branches. I go 10 cards deep to look for either a card draw engine for turn 3 or a instant speed enabler for turn 3. So let's go. I'm thinking more. Actually, let's go 8. Let's go 8. That's good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Notably, this does trigger at the beginning of the end step. You may pay any amount of life if you do draw that many cards. We did that at the beginning of the end step, and our maximum hand side is 5. And if you were not aware of this, Necrodominance and Necropotence's, what's it called? They're different because Necrodominance says no graveyard. Necropotence is a triggered ability, because this is a replacement effect versus Necropotence is a triggered ability. But now let's draw the 8 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, not a great 8. It's okay. This is okay. So what we'll do, we've got a lot of land, so that's okay. I will keep the usable cards. We'll keep the Grand Abolisher's Demonic Consultation. We'll keep the Train of Vapor as a way to bounce her Necro if we see some crazy stuff. And then we will see, let's see. Oh, notably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can actually win next turn if we go super deep and draw Leveler and Thassa's Oracle. No, we just need to draw Thassa's Oracle on the next dig. And we win because we can use the Demonic Consultate. Oh, yep, this is cool. So then we'll just discard a Polluted Delta. That makes us use life, and we'll discard a Flooded Strand, and we'll also discard an Arid Mesa. We're cool on colors. There's a universe where I can see double white. Let's see. Let's get rid of the Arid. Let's get rid of the Ursus. I could see a universe where if we want to go double white, we can go white, cast the Grand Abolisher, then go to end step. We have the, technically that's objectively the right move. We keep the Arid Mesa, then we go to turn 3. There's no draw step, so we don't see that. And then we just go draw. We'll go to the end step. We'll play this land. We'll crack it. So it says if a target token put in the graveyard goes in, or exile it. So we'll get a Tundra. Go get that Tundra. Bop, bop, bop. And so because TTC loves him a good protected win, I'm going to go and tap bop bop. We're going first. We're just casting a turn 3 Grand Abolisher. And we have this Hashaton that's developed because we got it out turn 1. Just kind of just guessing and say, let's just get it out and develop it. We'll see what we draw off top. And at this point now, what we do is we go to our end step, Necrodominance triggers, and then we will pay as much life. I like going down to 5. So I will go, that could be 26, but I feel like some part of me is telling me, let's just go down to 5. Somebody's telling me to go down to 6, but we're not using our life total for anything. So I cast the Grand Abolisher. Let's go down to, somebody's also telling me something between 4 to 6. So I think let's just do 5. Let's go down to 4. I'm not using my life total for any of these things. I literally just need to draw Thassa's Oracle. So going down to 4 would take us down to 6, 7 to get down to 24, and that'd be 27. So we'll draw 27 cards. Boom. So we just need to have drawn the Thassa's Oracle to get there. And just so you all see how I can play this through. How I usually play this through is I start making piles. So these are all the cards on board. So we're not worried about that right now. These are all the cards. They can't interact with us. We're just going to act like that Grand Abolisher creature got down. So we're going to have, this is ramp. This is interaction. This is land. Oh, we have an LED, so that's going to be super helpful. We got a Valley Flood card. That's our instant speed enabler. Notably, I have to say this, if you're not aware, Hashaton's ability gets around the Necroponents and Necrodominance. It says whenever you discard a card, it doesn't need to hit the graveyard. So let's keep going. We got a Trick Bind, that's interaction. LED is ramp. Trick Bind's interaction. We got land. We got more ramp on Arcane Signet. We got a Tutor. We love to see that. Ranger Captain's a silence effect. I'll just put this to the side now. Got more interaction with City. We got the Leveler, so we have another way to discard our hand. That's helpful. I will say that's helpful. I will put that in our combo pile. I usually like putting, we'll put this. This is a must cast. Got a combo pile right here. Land pile. This is interaction. It's another Tutor. It's card draw. Removal and interaction. We got more ramp with our Overeager Apprentice. Notably, this is a cool piece of ramp that doesn't make us discard our whole hand, but we won't be able to get it out because of Valley Flood Caller is our instant speed enabler, unless I don't see it born. We have Chain of Vapor. I'm going to count this as ramp because we can bounce from and redo our rocks. We've got Sink into Stupor. Count that as removal and interaction. We got a land. We got card draw. We got more silence effects, more ramp. And we got a removal spell, and then combo, and there's a combo, and there's a land. Well, I'll count this removal interaction. This is just more ramp. We'll just count that for general value for now. Just somewhere between there. And then we got this recursion piece that doesn't really matter right now. We'll just keep this over here. And this is the Valley Flood Caller. So I see the chat moving over to my right. TDC is going to figure this out real quick. So how... what I see, honestly, if you want to see what TTC is thinking, this is we just go to cleanup. Only problem is if we do cleanup, we have to get Thassa's Oracle into our hand, and then we can just go to cleanup and win like that. We have an LED, we have a lot of ramp, which is really good, and we also have a Chain of Vapor. And so what I see is we have two options. We can go. The biggest thing is we need to be able to get the Thassa's into our hand. So we can go one block. We can do one black for that. It could just be one black for a Thassa's, and then it could be bop to empty library, but then we only have one colorless left. I do believe at that point. Thank you, Gen 5, for the follow. Thank you for the follow. I think at that point we would need to develop the LED to help facilitate all this. And also this Rain and Filth, because we have 3 lands out, it's going to be really awesome. What I'm thinking, it could be like Rain and Filth. Tap this for a black. That'll give us 3 more black. That just gets the job done, I believe. So yeah, it will be like a tap for black. It says until end of turn, which ends at cleanup. So we will want to float our mana now. It could be like a black for let me start tracking the mana. I'm not looking at the chat right now, y'all. I want to figure this out. I see, like, it's obvious the lines. I guys got to figure it out. So we got black. We could have this. We would have 3 black available to us, and we would just need blue and 2 colorless there. So it'd be like tap. We could sack this for the mana consultation, or we could just go Tainted Pact just to be safe, to make sure we don't exile our win con. But we can go tap that, sack it for Tainted Pact. Sack it for Thassus, and then we just need to tap this. No. I'm trying to avoid casting the Valley Flood Caller because that kind of hurts me a little bit on mana. Not really, but it's just something I'm thinking about, because technically we could use the LED to make all this easier. So it could be like a Valley Flood Caller into casting the LED into casting, and this will give us the guaranteed mana to go once we put the Thassus in hand from like Tainted Pact or Consultation. We go Valley Flood Caller for 3. Then we'd have 3 black mana. We use the Blast Thing for the Rain of Filth. That gives us 3 black mana available to us. And then we go Tainted Pact, go put Thassus into our hand, and then use the last black available to us to decon for, Tainted Pact for Thassus, decon, empty the library, go to cleanup, and then we can just discard the Thassus Oracle we just put in our hand. And so just to play it out, how that will work is just pay 3 Valley Flood Caller, tap this for the Rain of Filth. This will go to exile. We can sack this and this. I do see this Chain of Vapor. We could have done other rocks. Rain of Faith is simpler in my head right now, but we sack that, do a Tainted Pact. We have 1 black left. Boom. Boom. We're just going to keep going till we hit Thassus Oracle. Where we at? Thassus Oracle, come to me, baby. Where we at? There's Lab, man. Where's Thassus Oracle? If I pass it, y'all, you can make fun of me. Who needs a Divine Consultation now? There's Thassus Oracle, last 2 cards of the library. This goes to move this to exile, and then at this point, we have this last black still floating. We can do whatever we want with it, but we don't need anything. We just go to cleanup. When we start discarding all these cards, one Hashaton will trigger, and then we can crack LED, still going to exile to bring back the Thassus Oracle. Notably, we will not be under a silence effect, so I do want to make that extremely clear. During your cleanup, the silence effect. Well, no, I'm lying. Grand Abolisher's on board, so I'm completely lying. During your turn, it's just during the turn. So this is a protected turn 3 win. Okay, y'all. You gotta trust TTC. I'm gonna check the chat now. Let's see. We got mistakes aren't mistakes until we made them. Love me some Shalai and Halar. We have Noble saying that. Technomage saying it's the next Nadu. I don't think it's the next Nadu. No, Nadu's crazy. This is like. The 99 supports more. Like Nadu needs a 99, but it needs any creature. This needs like specific cards to work. We also have I was promised a Watchful versus Praetor. We are starting gameplay soon. We're starting this right after this, and we have game soon. Not my house. Let me see. I know. I'm just adding it to Praetor's bounty. We got Janfire saying, "What's up, Janfire? Thank you for the first time chat." I'm with these guys. What's up? Hey, Jen. I'm gathered around friend for watching friends play pretty card game. We're getting to the what's up, Radar? We also have, all right, man. I'm off to bed. Enjoy chilling, watching the stream. Thank you, D-Tro. Be great, brother. We got Disco Quill. Hi, Jen. Why wouldn't I admit to being with my fellow weirdos? we also got Radar doing some funny stuff, and we got Noble team saying turn 3 Thoracle when it's great. Yeah, 100%. And it was like, if you remember our opening hand, it was literally a 4 We wanted a game plan, and it was a bit of luck, but notably that switch out that we talked about, taking Smothering Tithe out for a card draw was phenomenal. Progressive, taking the Lotus Petal for like, hey, I could keep the Thoracle, or I could keep the Extirpate, but I'm like, yo, we're turn one. Let's see. I trust my library to get us there. So this was awesome. I love this. I don't think we need to do another playtest Hams because I want to make sure we get into that gameplay, that spicy gameplay. We got an amazing audience. I want to say shout out to everyone. And so if you enjoyed this, I just have one thing to say. If you're looking for more ways to support the show, we have a plethora. Starting off, our TC community is a free to join community where we do everything as of brewing, talking about spoilers and gameplay. If you're looking to join that, check the link out in the bio. But if you want extra perks like shout outs on our YouTube videos and streams, like all of the playing on our live streams, and also free proxies and discount codes, please check out the link in the bio to join our Thunder Legion Patreon community. I want to give a humongous shout out to Wavy Ashira, Bissy Baxton, The Praetor, B-Rad, and Sir Trekkie. These guys rock and they keep the lights on the way that you could not imagine. And last but not least, if you say, hey, T, I don't want the Patreon, the proxies, or the perks. I just want to say I love what you do and I want to support you. Don't worry. Check the link out in the bio. You can buy me a coffee because it keeps me up and keeps the lights on. But with that being said, I'll see y'all soon. And thank you for joining me for this Hashaton and Split Second deck collaboration. Y'all be easy. Peace.